Beautiful Love. By Ashenafi. Chapter 1. Desiree Larson, 22, a beautiful young woman, and a handsome man Francis, 29, sat in a bathtub, placed in the middle of the living room, surrounded by candles and rose petals. He was behind. She rested on his chest with close eyes, sleeping in beauty from here to serendipity. The house had no roof. Rose petals fell from the sky like snowflakes. The setting had a seductive fantasy atmosphere like Terrence Malick films. Les Fuiles Mortes by Yves Montand played from a stereo. Francis recited a poem down by her neck from memory while planting soft kisses on her shoulder. I once asked the stars in the sky that I like to talk to, entertain, and appease. Have you ever been enslaved by a girl? That you see your soul dilating in her beautiful eyes, with glory and splendor, creating light waves and breeze. Your heart, which she loves to squeeze till your kidneys freeze. Beating on her lips? Not just any lips, but sweet lips that attract butterflies and bees, and bring down cherubs and seraphs in heavens to their knees. And every time she takes the slightest respiration or a sigh, that gives new meaning to a gist. Your heartbeats then form mist. He kissed her on the shoulder. Have you witnessed your life steaming on her breath in ease, like haze and clouds that leave angels and saints' lungs? During cold weather, and chilly but calm winter mornings, set aside for Christmas and Sundays, and smoke that leaves from a femme fatale's lips, who smokes Marlboro like Sandy in Greece, but loves to wear Victoria's Secret underwear and your chemise. She then shakes her booty in erotica, dancing exotically, and doing a striptease, till she gives your heartache and a beautiful disease, and stigmata have already formed on each of your wrist. Your existence is becoming a fairy tale that has a beautiful twist. He kissed her shoulder. Your death is metaphorically prophesized upon her kiss, which comes without delay, because she is drop-dead gorgeous and risque. Not only does she have supernatural beauty that takes your breath away, but she is also possessed with deep sensuality that gives you great sensual pleasure like roses that they grow for bouquet. The girl that I am crazy about hurls defiance at all living things that no soul can resist. Everything about her is like a moment that you must seize. Love and be loved, adore and be adored, kiss and be kissed. And you wish you would make love to her with beautiful tenderness and exceptional passion. Above everything that you have treasured, cherished, and missed. Be intimate with her, let her have it, till she feels exceeding happiness and pure ecstasy, to the greatest extent possible, as though it were your top priority in life, and the number one thing that you want to do on your wish list. And all of a sudden, confusion and despair decrease. However, gorgeous insanity is on the increase. You are high with endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin that your brain continues to release. And to love her so much, nothing gives you peace. He kissed her on the shoulder. In spite of everything, some folks that you know think love is worth your time, it is exciting but cruel. And you are so cool. Girls are talking about you everywhere. At workplace, office, church, and school. But a person who falls in love with an extremely beautiful girl is a fool. You might convince yourself you are a big fish in a swimming pool. However, the dame got the world on a string and doesn't obey any rule. She will crucify your heart on the cross without a tool. Then again, honestly, all you care about is fulfilling her desire beyond her wildest fantasies and triumph. You want to kiss her lips from the bottom of your heart, till the magic that is placed in her essence floats in the air like dandelion, as though time had ceased to exist, and make love to her till her soul leaks and bursts, as if it were the greatest tryst. Desiree smiled in beauty. He kissed her on the shoulder. She opened her eyes, turned around, and gave him her lips to kiss. They kissed intimately. Chapter 2. It was a Valentine's Day. People shopped at Hallmark gift shop. There were various interesting items that folks might want to give for loved ones. Desiree, wearing a beautiful light pink gown, walked down the aisle, came up to a toy section, looked at all kinds of toys, and grabbed a teddy bear that has a text message, I love you. She then headed toward greeting card section, picked up a greeting card, Shall I compare thee to a summer's day by William Shakespeare under romance, and read it to herself. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. The sky was lit with a beautiful soft orange sunset as though millions of cherubs and seraphs were making love in candlelight hidden in the clouds, which made some people think there might be a force behind everything. Meanwhile, a 2015 black Mercedes convertible drove in the street of Miami. Francis was the man behind the wheel, and somehow, it seemed he could hear Shall I compare thee to a summer's day, in his head. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eyes of heaven shines. And often is his gold complexion dimmed. Desiree continued to read the greeting card, walking down the aisle. And every fair from fair sometimes declines. By chance, or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade. Francis parked his car at Hallmark gift shop and walked into the store, carrying a red rose. His eyes caught an appealing cashier named Lisa like a daisy in springtime. Lisa, about 25, gave him a soft alluring smile. Francis returned her smile courteously, and walked toward the greeting card section as he continued to hear Shall I compare thee to a summer's day, in his head assumingly. Nor lose possession of that fair thou st. Nor shall death brag thou wander st in his shade. When in eternal line to time thou growest. In unison, Desiree continued to read the greeting card, walking down the aisle. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see. So long lives this, and this gives life to thee. She beamed with a beautiful smile. As she lifted her head, she bumped into Francis. Sorry, said Desiree. They both dropped everything that they were carrying on their hands. Francis held her hips and replied instinctively, my bad. He quickly went down, picked her teddy bear, and his flower. At the same time, he took a quick glance, and witnessed her dazzling beauty. He didn't know what just hit him, a sharp pain deep in his soul. He was in love at sight, dropped the flower that he just picked up. She smiled sweetly and got down to help him. He picked up everything, and placed what's hers in her basket before she picked up the rose. I didn't see you, Desiree said, and gave him the rose. It's my fault, he took the flower. Francis handed her the basket without taking his eyes off her. Sorry, he tried to articulate his fault with a common word as if it were a polite thing to say under those circumstances, despite the fact he was lost deep in his heart with her. However, he offered her the flower and returned from whatever fantasy world he was. Desiree couldn't help herself but to smile in beauty. It's yours, she said. You can have it. I just got it from a flower shop. It's Valentine's Day. Desiree took the rose. Thanks, she whispered. They gazed at each other's eyes without saying a word as if they were the only two stars that had ever existed in the universe. I'm running late. I must go. Desiree broke the silence. What's your name? He asked her naturally as he gave her his hand to shake. Desiree took his hand and said, Desiree. May your beauty speak the amorous dialect of my soul. And encrypt it into the language of true love. And if a single beat of my heart in delight denies, let me decipher the poetry of timeless beauty. And recite the pleasure of my spirit to you. In the glistering waves of your beautiful eyes. Francis kissed her hand and said, pleased to meet you. He meant it from the bottom of his heart. But Desiree said nothing. There was a silent moment as though time were absolute illusion. It stopped ticking. The rule of physics did not apply anymore. Both Francis and Desiree felt they were floating in the air as if their hearts grew wings inside their bodies, then burst through their chests like wild birds that were kept in broken wooden cages, flied across the universe, and exploded in the middle of nowhere like phoenix nebulas. But, Desiree broke the silence once again. Take care. Desiree turned around and walks toward the registry. Francis continues to look at her. She glanced at him. He gave her a wink like a movie star. She gave him a winsome smile, and said, bye under her breath while waving her hand. He waved his hand back and let the moment cemented in the stars forever. Chapter 3. 3 weeks later. Desiree and an attractive girl named Loretta McCarty, 22, were in the middle of moving their belongings to a new apartment from Loretta's yellow Jeep. Loretta grabbed her guitar from the back seat. Desiree picked a mature juniper bonsal plant to take it to the apartment. Meanwhile, Desiree saw Francis as he stepped out of the building. Their eyes met like Romeo and Juliet. She put down the bonsai back in the car and looked at him in disbelief. Francis gave her a charismatic smile as he walked toward them. Do you need help? He asked. Desiree was speechless. Loretta looked at him. I was praying to God someone would come and give us a hand. You must be an angel, she answered his question. What are you doing here? Desiree asked him. I live here. Do you know him? Loretta questioned Desiree. We bumped into each other at Hallmark on St. Valentine Day. Is he the guy that came in your dream? Desiree chased Loretta as if she were playing with her stepsister. Loretta screamed cheerily, ran around the car, came behind Francis, and took a cover, holding his hips to prevent Desiree from hitting her. Francis turned around and held Desiree on the waist. Desiree stood in front of him and gave him a soft beautiful smile. They gazed at each other as if they wanted to kiss without their consents and find out what would happen next. It was a secret, Desiree said. You didn't tell me it was a secret, Loretta refuted her. You are in love with him. Desiree took a step back, and told Francis, she wasn't supposed to tell you anything. I can't trust her anymore. Forgive her, said Francis. It is not like she told you. When love seemed a thing of classic beauty. A butterfly in the belly. And a brief recitation of eternity. You drifted into my soul. In the form of a teardrop. With the complement of rose petals in twilight. An exceptional sense of sensuality. And riveted my heart with love at first sight. Like a femme fatale in modern film noir. She smiled in beauty but pretended she wasn't that impressed, and gave him an appropriate compliment. That's nice. You must be a poet, Loretta said. She didn't tell me your name. My name is Loretta. She gave him her hand to shake. Francis took her hand. Francis, he said as if he went by one name like Madonna, Prince, and even Jesus. Some might argue that Christ can pass as his last name, but nobody knows his surname. Perhaps, God has no last name, he is the ultimate creator, after all, he created itself. Nobody can't beat that. Nonetheless, Francis kissed her hand softly. Pleased to meet you, he said graciously. The pleasure is mine, Loretta said. Francis turned his attention back to Desiree. I didn't forget your name. It is Desiree, he asked without expecting an answer or rather answered his own question, but gave her his hand to shake. Desiree took his hand in greeting. Desiree Larson. Francis kisses her hand softly as well. Pleased to meet you again, he said naturally. Likewise. Did you just move? 2 days ago. We thought it would be more fun to live in Miami than Fort Lauderdale for a lot of exciting reason, Loretta said. We heard the people down here are nice and friendly. Desiree added. It's true, Francis agreed. They are cool. They know how to party, Loretta articulated her opinion. Every night is like New Year Eve. I don't know a lot about partying, Francis said. I usually like to stay at my apartment and cook. I don't go out that much. I don't believe you, Desiree said. You look like a party animal. They said, there is nothing like cooking with someone that you are in love with, and having dinner in candlelight at your apartment. It brings a tear to your eye, he said, as if he were telling her that he loved her for a sentimental reason. But I pretend I am run out of tears for the sake of romance in order to deceive myself, and drink wine with an empty stomach. What does that mean? Desiree asked. I have no idea, Francis said. I just thought it is a cool thing to say to girls before I invite them to dinner at my apartment. Do you have a girlfriend? Loretta asked. I am working on it. Desiree is single. Maybe, you two should hook up. Desiree hit Loretta's arm playfully. What are you, a matchmaker? She confronted her best friend. I was kidding, Loretta said. You are so sensitive. No, I am not. Anyway, which floor do you live? Loretta asked Francis. 1014. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. We're in front of your house. 1010. Loretta screamed in delight. We are going to be pals like Rachel, Monica, Joey, and Chandler in Friends. We are going to have a lot of fun. Desiree said. Girls just want to have fun, Loretta added. It must be fate that brought you together. Desiree hit her on the arm playfully. Loretta moved away and grabbed her guitar and an organic olive tree topiary plant. Desiree picked up the bonsai, and tried to pick a 9-inch self-sustaining ecosphere. Let me get that for you, Francis said. Desiree put down the bonsai and gave the ecosphere to Francis. Thanks, Desiree said under her breath. It's pretty heavy, he cracked a joke. But it's light as a feather, figuratively speaking, but it is not heavy at all. Yeah, right. Desiree made fun of the situation. Desiree grabs the bonsai. They all head to the apartment. Desiree and Loretta's apartment. 1010. Desiree and Francis sat at the dinner table in the living room, gazing at each other's eyes. She then gave him a soft, beautiful smile. Do you want anything to drink? She asked him before she got up. I'm okay, he said. You don't have to get up. Francis doesn't want her to leave his side for a nanosecond. Let me get you a beer. Soft drink is fine. What soft drink? She asked. I'm in the process of quitting all alcoholic beverages, protesting alien abduction. He dropped another joke. Desiree gave him a beautiful smile but looked at his eyes in confusion as if she were saying, what do you mean by aliens, even though she knew it was a joke. It's a joke to put a little bit luminosity on your sweet cheeks, Francis said, as though it would clear up the confusion. That's what I thought too. She played along. I'll bring you Heineken. Coke is fine. I hardly ever drink beer. That's shame. You're the first man that I met who hardly ever drinks beer. I am being a little bit self-conscious about my stomach, he said while touching his stomach. Beer might give me a round belly. I am working on my 6-packs. It's okay. I am not going to hold it against you, she let him know it wasn't a big deal. I'll get you a Coke. Actually, if you have a glass of red wine, it would be wonderful. Now, we are talking, but I don't know if we got red wine. I'll check. Desiree gave him a wink and walked to the kitchen. As long as he remembered, Francis had never felt love like this before. Desiree was everything that he had ever wanted. He thought she was like a rose that grew in the air, drop-dead gorgeous as though she existed in a hidden dimension. She was only revealed to those who had sensitive hearts, so she could torture them with desire. Francis was wounded like a saint, who fell in love with a razor blade that he indigest, which had taken refuge in his lungs, and it cut his respiratory system whenever he breathed. Then, there was her smile. It heals anything. Francis was in love and didn't know what to do. Mouth by Meryl Bainbride plays from a CD player. Loretta, singing Mouth, stirred sauces in a pot at the kitchen. She was making pasta, marconi and vermicelli in 2 sets of pots. Plus, she had lasagna on the stove, cooking like an Italian cake. Desiree came to the kitchen. Loretta looked at Desiree. You didn't tell me he was this handsome, Loretta said. Isn't he the sexiest man you ever seen in your life? He's beautiful. Desiree opens the refrigerator. He hardly ever drinks beer. Do we have any wine? She asked her best friend. I doubt it, Loretta said. I was supposed to buy a couple of them in case we have a cute guest like him. But I forgot it. Desiree looked gall vermouth along with other items, milk, orange juice, beers, sodas, etc. We got vermouth, she said it out aloud as though it would replace wine. Desiree grabbed the vermouth, closed the refrigerator, and placed the vermouth on the kitchen table. Are you sure you don't need any help? She asked. Give me a minute, Loretta said. I'll bring everything. You go ahead and keep your soulmate company. Desiree blushed in sensuality, picked a large cooking spoon by the sink, and hit Loretta on the butt playfully. Loretta let out a soft scream. Desiree didn't care less. I know you think I might have crossed the line, Desiree stated her opinion. But it is not like I am head over heels in love with him, am I? She returned the spoon where she got it. I see the way he looks at you, Loretta said. He is into you. Whatever. Let me go ask him if he drinks martini. Desiree began to walk toward the living room. Loretta continued to sing with Meryl's mouth aloud, I feel like I've been blown apart. Desiree turned around, and began to sing with Loretta, there are pieces here. I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go. Francis heard them singing and couldn't help but to smile enigmatically, admiring their sense of joy. Desiree and Loretta continued to sing. Kiss me on my salty lips. I bet you feel a little crazy, but for me. We'll be famous on TV. Would it be my fault if I could turn you on? Would I be so bad if I could turn you on? Francis seemed to be enjoying the song as Desiree and Loretta continued to sing like teenagers who saw a rock star. Desiree and Loretta didn't want to stop singing yet. When I kiss your mouth I want to taste it. Turn you upside down. Don't want to waste it? Loretta turned her attention to the stove and stirred the pot while singing. Desiree stopped singing. Yet, she was so happy, kissed Loretta on the cheek, and returned to the living room. Francis looked at her in wonder as she breezed into the living room with a soft arresting smile. He couldn't help but to get lost deep in his cardiac muscle as if he were looking at his heart beating outside his body. He was convinced she were the most desirable woman in the universe, created from his soul. Unfortunately, we don't have wine, Desiree said. But don't feel bad, we have other things that keep you on the edge of chaos. No doubt, he said with smile. Desiree walked toward the bar, grabbed vodka, and looked at Francis's eyes with seduction. How does French martini sound? She asked. Excellent. Shaken or stirred? I'll leave it to you. I'll go with shaken. Nothing can go wrong with a shaken martini. If you say so, he played along. Desiree gave him a soft sweet smile and headed back to the kitchen. Francis didn't know love could be so overwhelming. How could a girl make a man feel helpless like a bird that flies in the storm, and at the same time, she gave him a new life to his soul. Francis had already convinced himself that he couldn't breathe or live without her. Some said they needed this and that to feel complete. Others said there would be blood. But Francis believed deep down in his heart she was the life, the truth, and the way. He would die for her, he would bleed for her, he would kill for her, he would live for her. He would breathe for her. Before her, they were nothing. It was darkness. Then, she appeared out of the thin air, changed the night to day, turned his world upside down, and made him fall in love with the most beautiful girl alive forever and ever. Desiree sat in front of Francis at the dinner table. She had a plate of vermicelli and a martini. Francis enjoyed lasagna and French martini. Loretta sat in the left side of Francis with macaroni and scotch on the rocks. Head Over Heels by Loretta played from a stereo. What do you do? Loretta asked him. I'm a writer, Francis answered. What do you write? Desiree asked. I write novels. What kind of novel? Romance. I heard romance is an expression of one's innermost desire in the form of sex. I didn't know that. It's the most essential part of life, Desiree added. Francis got it right away but acted innocent. She was flirting with him, which was a good thing. He liked girls who were open to ideas, girls who were in touch with their sexuality like Miley Cyrus and Madonna. They brought the best in him. Desiree might fall in that category, but she seemed sweet, at the same time, she was intoxicating and lascivious. He took a sip from his drink. Do you go to school? Francis asked them. No, we don't. Loretta said. She just graduated from LSU with English major. And me, I dropped out from film school here at the University of Miami, and finished recording my first album. This song that you're hearing is It's Me Singing. Francis listened to the song and thought she had a quite seductive voice. Loretta and Desiree began to sing together. You may look at my profile. I love roses, lollipop, and ice cream. I don't separate substance over style. There were times I used to scream your name in my dream. Heard your heart beating in my soul from a mile. And went crazy. As if I were dancing with a sunbeam. But if I smile after I cry for a while. Let love be a sweet emotion that roves in my bloodstream. And ease my pain like a rose petal that floats on blue Nile. Love. There were days that I used to daydream. About your beautiful face and find a tear in my eye. Till you changed it into fever disguised as a sigh. Love. There were nights that I held pillows between my legs. Fantasizing about cutting gorgeous intense feelings. That I have for you in the shape of a heart. And sprinkling them across the universe. Till they shined brighter than the stars in the sky. And woke up in the morning, floating like a butterfly. And when I thought I couldn't be happier than I was. Like a little girl that is running in the rye. You kissed my lips and made me feel so high. Darling, I know they said. All dreams are meant to come true. If I must climb mountains, or catch flu. Even though, sometimes, I feel blue. The only thing I have in my heart is spell. That you cast in my soul more enchanting than voodoo. I will never stop myself from falling. Head over heels in love with you. Chorus. You came to my life in the thin air. And turned my heart into a love song. I will never stop myself from falling. Head over heels in love with you. My heart tells me love is unfair. I have got it wrong. I will never stop myself from falling. Head over heels in love with you. But whenever I see you, I get overwhelmed by emotions that are powerful and strong. I will never stop myself from falling. Head over heels in love with you. Is it your cup of tea? Loretta asked Francis. I like it. You have a beautiful voice. Thanks. We're having CD releasing party here on Friday in 2 weeks. You're welcome to drop by. Sure. Desiree looked at his eyes with seduction. Do you live by yourself? She asked. Yes, I do. Just checking. Francis gave her a soft enigmatic smile. He thought love was something that was designed to keep his thought occupied in times of uncertainty. He had fallen in love with attractive girls before, but it was his mind masturbating with dry thoughts. However, Desiree was different. She was pornographic in every sense. Falling in love with her was like his soul bashing the candle with soap bubbles that had naked images of her. His heart had already reached millions of orgasms. Chapter 4. Barnes and Noble Bookstore. Francis read a poem Tenderness of Morning Light that he wrote on a separate paper to advertise his new book The Art of Romance and his upcoming project, Gorgeous Love. The audiences listened to him with great interest. Tenderness of morning light that heaven sent. Delicateness of deep sensuality, a rose lying on her bed. Forgive not valleys, hills, mountains, and rivers lace. And the sun rises to pledge its rays to thy beautiful face. The skies brighten upon seeing thy smile and true grace. And a butterfly in the belly of a brave. Twilight of erotic crepuscule in glistening ocean wave. Ask not why the sun sets to surrender its seductive place. And eclipse to kiss and witness my heart race. Above all yet mercy the beat of my beat and my soul. Thrill to feel thy goddess body and naked embrace. Cuddling thee in love, lips to lose. Every universal run-of-the-mill sense. Desiree stood inside the elevator in a seductive white miniskirt, heading down to the lobby at the apartment building. On the other hand, Francis walked down the lobby and came up to the elevator. As he was about to touch the button, the elevator door opened, revealing Desiree. She looked at him and beamed with a gorgeous smile. Hi, Francis said. Desiree stepped out of the elevator. What's up? Greeted him. Nothing much. They gazed at each other's eyes. Where are you going? He asked. A coffee shop, she answered. Right down the street, Paris Cafe. Can I come with you? He made a request, if it's not too much trouble. She gave him a soft beautiful smile. Not at all, come on, she made his dream come true. They walked toward the exit. Paris Coffee Shop. It was a seductive coffee shop. Customers enjoyed coffee, cookies, sandwiches, and various drinks and pastries. Desiree and Francis sat at a table. She was having a turkey sandwich. He relished on a slice of chocolate cake. Are you really vegetarian? Desiree asked him. Pescatarian. What's that? A vegetarian who eats fish. I could have guessed that, except many people think tuna is fish. But it's made out of killer whales. Killer whales are mammals. I don't usually eat tuna unless it's fish. Have you ever had dolphin? Even though they are mammal, they taste just like fish. I have never had a dolphin. Me neither, Desiree said with humor. I just said it to mess with you. Francis smiled charismatically and gazed at her eyes in wonder. He was drawn to her eyes. They were the most hypnotic things that he had ever seen in his life. Suddenly, he found himself dreaming of love in limelight, swimming naked in two pools that were filled with turquoise flowers that emits light. He was about to drown but waked up in time. You said you study English, he asked. I just graduated from University of LSU. I might go back to graduate school and get my master on modern literature. But I want to be a dancer like Ginger Rogers, whom I grew up watching, Dancing with Fred Astaire. You know, my mother used to make me watch all the classic movies made in the 40s, the golden era of Hollywood, and early 50s, like Singing the Rain starring Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds. My great-grandfather was an actor. You might have heard of him. Who is he? Francis asked. Fred Mercury. He started in a couple of well-known movies, including Double Indemnity, she said convincingly. I know who he is, Francis helped her cause. Double Indemnity is one of my favorite movies of all time. But is Fred Mercury really your great-grandfather? No, I am kidding, she said with a smile. You believe everything they tell you, don't you? You sound convincing. It is a joke, she said. But I am thinking about becoming a singer like Rihanna and a fashion designer like Coco Chanel. Or perhaps, I will change my major into scientific discipline and become a marine biologist like Rachel Louise Carson, whom I have always idolized my whole life. Or give acting a shot. But I can't make my mind on one specific thing. Sometimes, I don't know what I am doing. Just follow your heart, he gave her an advice. Everything will fall in the right place. I want to do everything, she stated. But once in a while, I find myself accompanied by all kinds of perplexing thoughts that constantly keep me guessing the purpose of my life in this world. It is frustrating. Just be patient and do what you believe that will make a difference in your life. Things that you are passionate about, he gave her more advices. Desiree grabs her Coke, takes a sip out of her straw, and puts it down. I love acting, she said, first thing that came to her thought. But I don't know if I am going to be as good as Meryl Streep. You are going to be better than her. Anyway, what was I saying earlier? You were telling me about the spider that crawling on your hair. Right. It was on my ear till I scraped it away. I quickly got up from my bed. The spider crawled under the blanket. I ran into the kitchen, grabbed a Ziploc plastic bag, and placed it in the bag. The next day, I went to a supermarket and bought a big strawberry jam. I emptied out the entire jam, put the spider in the jar, and kept it for 5 months till it died exactly a week ago. I am sorry to hear that, he gave her his condolence. Don't be. I wanted to kill it myself. Francis looked at her as if he were saying, is she something or what? I'm kidding, Desiree said. I was mortified, you know, as if I lost a part of me. I sat in front of my computer for hours searching for the next best pet, till I checked the lifespan of a spider, and found out they only live 1 year. I realized life was too short. I said to myself I had better go out and have fun before I die. Francis smiled in wonder. There was a silent moment. They gazed at each other's eyes. To Francis, beautiful girls were like paintings that the angels in heavens drew, and then breathed breath of lives onto them. Everything about them inspired love, passion, and romance. But Desiree was a masterpiece, a portrait of gorgeous love. At the same time, she was like a sonnet that is made of flesh and blood. Everything about her rhymed like a fairy tale that turned into a poem. You seem happy in general, he broke the silence. I can't complain. Chapter 5. Miami Beach. The moon had lit the ocean with tenderness as though it were coding the secret of love and the magic of nights on the water. The waves crashed on the sand without asking forgiveness. Desiree, holding her shoes, barefoot, and Francis walked down the shoreline. Where do you get your motivation? She asked. Every time I see a beautiful girl. I wonder if she was created from a teardrop that left from Aphrodite's cheek, and I just fall in love with her as though my heart were designed to bleed for her, Francis said as if he were sure of himself. Whatever, Desiree found the answer too quixotic. I swear to God I just can't help it, he said. I had weakness for beautiful girls. They bring the best in me. They stop walking and stand facing each other. Tell me something I don't know, she said. Francis gazed at her eyes tenderly and told her how he felt about her poetically. Let me kiss your lips as if I were drawing rose tattoos. Not primrose, but needling fresh-cut red roses around your heart. That have thorns while drinking wine that tastes like a booze. And quench my thirst with intoxicating love potion. Till my blood and soul infuse. Shall I then metamorphose into a ghost? And dance with the butterfly in your belly with blues? Or turn into spell, rove under your skin coast to coast? And seduce your organs till they feel my bruise? Or just kiss your sweet lips till my kidneys roast? I am not very good at holding my peace, I must speak. You are like a teardrop that falls from Psyche's cheek. The very thought of kissing your lips makes my knees weak. My heart tells me you are something out of mystique. I don't know how to put my feelings into words like freak. But you are true love that I seek. Beloved, when all is said and done, allow me to change the blood in your cardiac muscle to sucrose. And make each one of your heartbeat my muse. If I end up falling head over heels in love with thee. And get on top of things that make you confuse. But fall a victim of fever, and become so close. Let me get high of passion without lows. Allow me to kiss you from your head to your toes. And make love to you till pleasure and climax diffuse. Light each gram of your soul in splendor. And vapor out of your skin without excuse. Desiree smiled lightly. They kissed French. She dropped her shoes, threw her arms around his neck, he wrapped his arms around her waist as they kissed more intimately. Francis and Desiree made love on a mattress that was placed on the middle of the living room at his apartment, surrounded by candles. It was steamy, enchanting, seductive, and passionate. Francis was on top entering her deliciously. Desiree could feel each penetration, and her hormones reacted to the sex with sweat and deep climax as if it were fire to her soul. She was boiling with ecstasy, passion, and high body temperature inside out, sweltering with sexual pyrexia, making beautiful erotic sounds with fever and sexual pleasure, sighing heavy, and breathing in and out like a nymphomaniac, who was on fire, then once upon a time saw a beast that escaped from a fairy tale, and didn't know whether to flee or to have sex with this sexy monster, but followed her instinct. She had sexual intercourse with the unpredictable creature on a mattress that happened to be on the floor for the sole purpose of the sex. She was into it, and he was destroying it, they were all in. They gave all their energies to carnal knowledge for what it was worth, like Beauty and Mad Max metaphorically speaking, but they all seemed to be portrait on Desiree's breath, and if somehow, we can decipher them, they would have read like an erotic book. Though Francis wasn't a monster. He wanted to make this most beautiful girl in the world feel she was extra special. Desiree hadn't yet turned into ashes, but her lungs were under an obligation to function well, operating like a demon that works overtime, and her heart was melting inside her body and leaking between her legs with sweet, nasty, and triple X orgasms, in erotic term. Francis thought he was here in this world to gratify her beyond her wildest sexual fantasy. He picked up the pace naturally. The angels in heavens could hear the thuds as his groin smacked her vulva with full penetration and amazing speed. The demons in hell wouldn't hesitate to recommend him to the devil. They felt his passion. He was literally inside of her. He wanted to be in charge. Yet, her vagina was like an electric outlet, but tender, juicy, and luscious, and every time his penis entered her vagina, whatever it was, sent pure electricity throughout his body. He liked it like a honey badger loves honey. He wanted to possess her and be possessed by her, he wanted to own her and be owned by her, he wanted to claim her and be claimed by her, he wanted to shower her with fever and be showered with fever, and he wanted to engulf her with pleasure and be engulfed with pleasure. The stars were the limit. Francis wanted to give her everything he had from the bottom of his heart, but didn't really care if he received as much as he was pouring out. Suddenly, he took it nice and slow, went easy on her like a messiah, who discovers that he is the son of God, who created the stars with fire, and he is in love with the sexiest woman alive that he saw on the cover of Esquire, and he thinks he is sent to this world to fulfill her desire. But without prior notice, he finds himself figure skating with her on ice, and to make the matter more melodramatic, they are listening to Wicked Game by Chris Isaak, which is blasting from a speaker that has no wire. However, the Supremes said, love is a game of give and take, even though they weren't really talking about sex. Maybe, they were talking about sex. Who knows? Everything is metaphor. But we all get the idea. Nonetheless, Francis caressed her neck, kissed her breasts, and sucked her nipples. He sworn in his heart to Aphrodite, the goddess of love and sex, that Desiree tasted like peach and strawberry, and he would have loved to lick her from her head to her toes like a wildebeest passes his tongue over salt to absorb essential minerals that would help him grow stronger, healthier, and even smarter, and keep a balanced nutrition as well as turn the food he eats into energy. Though Desiree was sweet like honey, and Francis didn't know how many essential minerals that aphrodisiac substances on her body, or saccharose that she was composed of have, but wondered if they were the building block of love, fervor, and lust, and concluded they must be vital for mind, flesh, and spirit. They are important for building a loving heart, an affectionate liver, and a caring soul. They help brain grow new cells and aid the circulation of blood in the cardiovascular system, as well as performing functions that rejuvenate the total health of mind, body, and spirit, invigorate sex cells, and support metabolism such as turning kisses that he gives and receives into energy. If not, they are pure oomph themselves. As a matter of fact, they are pure energy, but he dared not wet her body with his tongue. What if she thought her was a weirdo? The stigmata crossed his mind despite the fact he felt he was in a universe where nothing was taboo, where line between order and chaos was myth, where fantasies and lewd behaviors worked very closely with intimacy, where bodies were wonderlands like John Mayer mentioned in his song, Your Body is Wonderland. Yet, something told him to save that for some other time. Instead, he kissed her belly, got between her legs, and gave her oral pleasure. Desiree adored it, she was dying with pleasure. Her face turned into red like a rose. She couldn't take it anymore. It was too sweet, sweet like sugar and whiskey. She pulled his hair and brought him to her lips. They kissed with tongues lasciviously. Francis then turned her around and entered her behind doggy style. Desiree could swear she was in heaven and didn't give a damn if God had mercy on her soul, but wished her heart would carry on, didn't want it to stop beating with excitement yet. She was wet with one intense orgasm after another. She wanted her heart to last for a while. Luckily, someone said, hell is not that hot. They did it with various sexual positions like porn stars. After sex, Desiree slumbered on top of Francis in sexual gratification with close eyes. She was nude. Francis ran the tip of his fingers down by her spinal line. He recited a poem in his thought. Let Lancelot and Guinevere say roses are red. Dahlias are pink, the sun is white, the sky is blue. Kiss in the middle of the day and make love. On rose petals that they sprinkle on their bed. But allow me to say a daily prayer, praise. Good Lord for spending a little more time on you. Give me permission to tell the stars how much I love you with sonnets that they have never heard. But first, let a rose be a flower that's sacred to thee. And the color is red, which my heart has always preferred. I would study your heartbeats like a nerd. Read them like Bible and memorize each word. And glorify your beauty till my eyes are blurred. Shall I then forget my troubles, lie on my bed, and fantasize about flying in the sky like a bird? Some say love is dread. It is illusion disguised as things I wish I knew. It's hex that I created to trick the demons in my head. It is fiction that sounds good to be true. Others think love is a bad chemical reaction in the brain. I got myself into this beautiful mess to control emotions that fly on the wild side and dance with life in fast lane. To keep my hormones in check like John Wayne. And to curb my enthusiasm in vain. It has brought me nothing but a pain. But whenever I am with you, I want to kiss your lips like fairy tales that I had read. Turn the blood in your system into wine. And the candy in your heart into honey and bread. Feed my hunger with love that is ambrosial. Which brings me closer to you when my heart and soul dine. And quench my thirst with kisses that taste like moonshine. Get drunk with love and forget everything they said. But let me fall head over heels in love with thee. And hold nothing back as if I resurrected from the dead. So, tell me you are mine. And give me a hug as though our hearts were meant to combine. I will make the date that you were born a festival. Like how they dedicated February 14th for Saint Valentine. And I will accept everything that is beautiful, sexy, exquisite, and enchanting must be created by design. Yet, tell me that you believe in love. And bestow kiss upon my lips like a gourmet. I will celebrate life. As if each day were a holiday to honor your birthday. Build a cathedral and worship you from Monday to Sunday. However, allow my soul to exit from my body in elation. And flow to the space like a dandelion that doesn't weigh. I would collect the stars. And give you those precious bright objects. Whenever you feel content, pleased, and even sad. Like romantic tragedy that they show in Broadway. Or fear throws you off guard in dismay. And you want to fly away like a blue jay. Let me kiss your lips as if I were gorging on buffet. Turn your pain and joy into music. That beats like blues and sounds like reggae. And make you happy night and day. Nevertheless, love is fair. Though it always keeps its distance away from nightmare. It doesn't want to get caught up in despair. However, it rejoices on kisses that we share. And even romantic letters that we write on software. And gifts that we give, little things that matter. Such as, chocolates, roses, greeting card, and a teddy bear. And above everything, it celebrates on good wishes that we make for those whom we love and care. Maybe, I am one of the luckiest men. I don't know what come first, the egg or the hen. But you have got me writing a love letter. With the blood in my heart instead of ink and pen. I swear I am not afraid of anything. My heart can spend the rest of its life in the demon's den. Let them rip it apart now and then, it would still say amen. You're an epitome of sensuality that arouses powerful emotions. And a flawless example of beauty that has no match, perfect 10. You may let my liver store pure glucose, turn it into spell. Confess you are an angel, and grow wings when it hears a bell. You may allow my heartbeats to remove my heart and serve you. When your love multiplies in my soul like a cell. You may allow my spleen to be intoxicated with your beauty. And say you are 1 in a trillion and a perfect 10 as well. Thus, your face should appear on every dime. But my heart tells me there has never been anyone. Or anything like you since the creation of humankind, flowers, space, and time. I want to make love to you day and night. While you are young and in your prime. And kiss your lips till I forget who I'm. Let my heart drift in the air like a butterfly that floats in a beautiful clime. I will only fall in love once in a lifetime. Nonetheless, I might have to break few rules. I would pretend I am going to keep it neat. Yet, betray your cheeks when you breeze in. And go straight after your lips when we greet. While I am at it, let my tongue squeeze in. I would kiss you French and sweep you off your feet. But deceive you that everything happens for a reason. And kiss your lips more intimately till your aches fleet. I would then hand you over to my soul. As soon as you figure out the reason. But is love going to hold me responsible for heart that build mysteries when it is supposed to beat? And charge me for treason? I can always take gorgeous and make it sweet. Your image continues to blossom in my quintessence. Like a rose that blooms in spring season. Let me make love to you and fall in love with thee. For a beautiful reason. Desiree opened her eyes. What's it? She asked him. What? He said under his breath. He didn't know what was in her mind. Love, she made it clear. Francis got silent. Desiree got up and leaned next to him, gazing at his eyes. Do you feel it? She asked. With every inch of my heart, he said. There was a silent moment. Is it wrong? She broke the silence with a question. I lost track of what is right and wrong the second I saw you. Desiree gave him one soft kiss after another. Francis cuddled her and got her on the bottom. They kissed more passionately. Chapter 6. Desiree and Loretta's apartment. It was Loretta CD releasing parody. Loretta had invited friends, relatives, elites, and pick of the bunches. They all enjoyed their outings like a scene from Breakfast at Tiffany's in a grand scale when Holly Golightly threw a party at her small apartment. Some were dancing and others were standing with drinks, mingling. Escape by Loretta played melodiously from a stereo. Loretta, who was wearing a light lavender Emilio Pucci gown, conversed with a producer named Seth Jordan, 29. I love your voice. But we have to change few things, he stated his opinion. What do you suggest? She asked him. I mean, I really like the song. I don't feel like making a lot of changes. There is nothing wrong with the song. It's absolutely enchanting, Seth said. But we have to change the chorus, we need interactive. Something synergistic. What's synergistic? When you repeat something, you get physical sensation on your throat as you do the chorus. Meanwhile, Desiree was in the middle of talking to a man named Andy, 41, at the kitchen. He was Loretta's agent. I'll take full responsibility, Andy said with confidence. You are going to have a lot of fun. I don't know if the audiences want to hear what I have to say, she expressed her doubt. Trust me. The world will fall in love with you overnight. You are beautiful, he said with full conviction. Loretta told me you have an amazing voice. That's not it, Desiree stopped right there. She didn't know what to say. What's it? He asked. Are you afraid of fame? That's beyond my control, she said. Nothing is beyond your control in life as long as you believe in the beauty of your work, Andy assured her. You must always have faith in yourself, and let your heart take you where your dreams want to be. Otherwise, we'll believe in you and take you where you want to go. Of course, your confidence means everything. And I am not going to take that away from you. Desiree thought he sounded like a real agent. It's just. I had this crippling stage fright, she expressed her anxiety. I don't know if I could be a real singer. I don't want to let you down. Let me worry about that, he promised her. Our number one priority is to get you into the studio and record a couple of beautiful songs that you're comfortable with. Once we have the product that we think it is going to make you a star, you'll take it from there. The guests continued to party as if they were in a different planet. Seth and Loretta continued to discuss about the project. Don't get me wrong. You have a unique provocative voice that seduces human spirit like Amy Winehouse, Seth broke it down. It has the power to touch hearts preciously. Plus, it is salacious. However, if we can channel it somehow, and take the sound to a different direction, we get pure antidote, is all. Loretta looked at Francis at the entrance as he walked into the living room. Excuse me, she asked Seth to pardon her and walked toward Francis without any approval. Fran saw her. Hi, Loretta greeted him and gave him a hug. They kissed on the cheeks. She was extremely happy to see him. What's up? Francis said under his breath. Out of nowhere, he took out a carnation and offered her the flower. Loretta took the flower. Carnation, not too impressed. Don't tell me this is for me, she demanded for a good explanation. It's for you, he said. She hugged him again and gave him a soft kiss on the cheek. That was just an excuse. She liked him very much, maybe even was in love with him. Thanks, Loretta said coyishly. But I prefer a rose. She held his arm as if he were her boyfriend. Come on. Let me get your favorite drink. You arrived on time. Loretta and Francis began to walk toward the bar. Desiree is in the kitchen, talking to my agent, Loretta informed him. She is going to become a singer. She has a beautiful voice. Meanwhile, Blue Kiss by Loretta played from the stereo. Some of her young fans screamed in such delight as though it were MTV Unplugged, and clapped their hands to show their appreciation. Francis stopped walking and pulled her arm gently. As she faced him, he gave her his hand to dance. May I have this dance? He asked courteously. Yes, you may, she said under her breath. Loretta took his hand. They began to dance slow. They danced quietly. I think I am the only person in the world who sings about falling in love with a man who broke my heart with a kiss, Loretta expressed her pain gracefully after a moment of silence. I am pretty much sure Nina Simone's Wild is the Wind is about falling in love with a man that broke her heart with a kiss, he said. I know the lyrics to that song. Love me. Say you do. Let me fly away. With you. For my love is like the wind. And wild is the wind. She let the lyrics flow naturally as if it were part of her system. She doesn't say anything about falling in love with a man who broke her heart with a kiss. I guess I am wrong, he played along. But Wild is the Wind could be about a girl who is in love with a boy. And if he ever breaks her heart with a kiss, she won't hesitate to kick his ass. You could say that, she said, as if she didn't care about the topic. But do you think I'm crazy? You're beautiful, he said. I think I'm insane, she gave him her opinion about herself as though she had a degree on the subject. But thanks for the compliment. Insanity is just another fine line that some of us have to cross to feel alive, he dropped wisdom words of the day to make her feel good about herself. Does that mean I'm crazy? She asked. You are hot. You are not hitting on me by any chance, are you? Do you mean seducing? Fine, Loretta said, as though she were telling him so be it. What if I am? What if you are? They gazed at each other's eyes as they crossed path in past life, however, didn't know the nature of their relationship, it was mystery. Do you mind if I tell you about a girl who has nothing but true love in her heart? He asked. What's it? Loretta inquired under her breath. Francis recited a poem from memory. She's morning stardust. Beautiful, sweet and innocent. Her heart beats like an angel. That has a gorgeous accent. In the present of love. She's never absent. Allurement and seduction. Everything that you desire. She gives her heart 100%. Loretta acted coy but still sassy as if she weren't that impressed. That's cute, she said. She's exactly like me, except I give love 1000%. And in return, I get nothing. That applies to some of us. Just keep giving. That's all that matters at the end. I'm far from innocent, she said, as if she were confessing to the Pope. None of us are innocent, let her know that is the last thing she should worry about. But we try our best. You're romantic. I am not that romantic. I just like the idea of being romantic. Loretta said nothing but could swear he was the most romantic man she had ever met in her life. They continued to dance quietly. For Loretta, a heart was a sadistic predator. She had a self-destructive personality. She could easily fall in love with anything that showed her the slightest touch of tenderness. As a matter of fact, she was incapable of doing things that would make her happy without some sort of drama. She was like a teardrop that was caught on fire. A tormented soul like Lindsay Lohan, one of those beautiful creatures that Jack Kerouac were talking about. The only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time, the ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars. Maybe, that is understatement. Loretta was like a blue butterfly that quenches its thirst with trinitrotoluene, TNT, like how a bee drinks nectar from flowers. She could cause millions of nebulas across the cosmos with a flap of her wings. That was just in the background. Loretta had lusted after love. She had lusted after life. She had lusted after romance. She had lusted after those whom she found attractive. Loretta was crazy about love itself and the idea of falling head over heels in love with someone who was romantic. Her heart had been shattered to million pieces like a glass that was dropped from Empire State Building. Loretta craved for the finest things in life. She craved for pleasure. She craved for style. She craved for freedom. She craved for everything there was to be craved. Above all, Loretta coveted peace of mind, so she could go out and live her life to the fullest. There were times that her demons had gotten the best of her, which led her to make costly mistakes. Confusion had consumed her brain like a wolf pack prey on a deer. Loretta had never surrendered or retreated but poured out her heart on her projects to exorcise them. She had faced her fears and foes with courage, tenacity, and determination. Yet, Loretta wished to love intensely and be loved intensely, adore and be adored like a princess, who is possessed with beauty, grace, and delicacy beyond depth, worship and be worshipped like a goddess, who started seduction, persuasion, and enticement, and treasure and be treasured like diamond and pearl. She ached for kisses that would sweep her off her feet. Loretta was mad about French kiss. Still she desired redemption, illumination, and salvation of her soul while she was breathing and her heart was beating. Loretta longed to heal hearts that were condemned, and be saved herself. At the same time, she had never complained or said an ordinary thing, but turned into blaze like a splendid gold lavender star catching on fire across the universe, exploded like supernova, and put enchantment in every angel's heart that looked after those who were lost, tortured, concupiscent, and itched for everything. Chapter 7. The guests continued to party. Loretta was behind a DJ box, playing Sorry by Justin Bieber. Francis walked through the crowd, holding a glass of champagne. He was heading toward the porch. Desiree stood next to the light frame wall, smoking cigarette. She took a drag from her cigarette and exhaled the smoke with style, gazing at the stars in the sky. Francis came to the porch, and stood next to her. "Hi," he said, gazing at the stars in the sky. "Hi," she replayed without looking at him. "I didn't know you smoke." Desiree crashed the cigarette on top of the frame wall. "I don't," she responded stylishly and threw the cigarette away. There was a silent moment. They continued to gaze at the stars. Francis took a glance and caught her eyes as she stole a look. Not only were her eyes sparking like the stars in the sky but they were piercing like sun cascading through the rain during sun shower in meteorological phenomenon. Suddenly, they jabbed his soul like millions of needles flying at speed of light and piercing an entity that they are meant to hypnotize, enthrall, and seduce, left him to die in his heart and go heaven like Saint Sebastian. He saw the glory of love. The garden of spell and serendipity. He traveled through eternity and beyond. They eventually brought him back with electric shock, crucify his soul in the air, and made him feel high in the most beautiful way he could wish for. Out of nowhere, Francis produced a red rose like a magician, and gave her the rose. Desiree got closer to his lips. "I doubt if I am going to be happy like I am now. You make me feel scandalous," she made a confession. They exchanged soft kisses. Francis looked at her eyes tenderly as if she came out of his heart and stood in front of him in the form of his soul. "You look this thing that I don't quite know how to put it down into words," he said seductively. "What's it?" she asked. "Supernatural," he gave her a compliment, which he thought was understatement. "I know you were going to say something touching like that," she said with a soft smile sardonically. There was a pause. "I think I'm falling madly in love with thee without knowing what I am getting into," he said after a moment of silence. "What makes you say that?" "I start losing faith in myself and begin to believe in you." They get closer. "Tell me about it," Desiree wanted to hear more. "I might as well steal a rose from heaven. Build a cathedral, and worship you 24/7, he said, as though that wouldn't justify anything. They kissed French. Francis thought Desiree was the most beautiful girl in the world. And she was the sexiest without a doubt. She was breathtaking in every sense. Her eyes, her cheeks, her nose, her dulcet lips, existed in their own universes. Her breasts, her belly, her waist, her hips, from her head to her toes existed separately within extra dimensions, along with roses, lotuses, water lilies, and dahlias in the gardens of eternal beauty and endearment where mystical butterflies and hummingbirds came to quench their thirsts with the most scrumptious nectars known to creation, flapping their wings infinite times per second, and at the same time, her face and her body parts were stunningly put together in supernatural phenomenon, dimension within dimension infused with mystery and denouement, and whoever put those biological sensations together decided to place a loving soul in her heart, and embellished her with grace, dignity, felicity, and pride in poetic justice, and she became the center of attention. And to kiss her lips felt like out-of-body experience. It was a spiritual journey beyond the solar system. Francis's soul detonated in space and scattered across the fabric of the cosmos, but at the same time, it was beautiful sin of the flesh as though she took out a sharp magical mirror that had her own image and cut his heart to millions of pieces. A girl like Desiree came to this world once in every forever and ever. She was unique like goddesses in Greek mythology such as Aphrodite, the goddess of fertility, love, and beauty, Amphitrite, goddess of the sea, Athena, the goddess of war, Demeter the goddess of harvest, and others. Some might argue the Greek goddesses have counterparts with Roman goddesses, thus, they are not special. In that case, Desiree had no match. She was one of her kind. Francis doubted if her feet had ever touched the ground. She glided in the air when she walked. The law of gravity didn't apply to her. Though, Desiree was the goddess of drop-dead gorgeous. She could take anyone's breath away literally. Usually, it would only take a glance to leave Francis out of breath as though she punctuated his lungs with millions of spears. And as a consequence, it would only take the slightest zephyr of her smile to restore his entire respiratory system. She would then act coy, look at him in the eyes with seduction, cast spell in his heart, and make him fall suddenly, helplessly, and unconditionally in love with her. Sometimes, she didn't even have to be with him. She would appear out of the thin air, say something romantic in his head, kiss his lips, and take him to paradise where hearts grew wings like birds and fly away as far as love carries them. As a matter of course, he couldn't help but to worship her. Not only was Desiree extremely arresting and delicious, beauty beyond measure, and owned allure, pulchritude, and sensuality that ignite desire, passion, and lust at the core of human soul, and arouse powerful sexual feelings, but she also possessed deep inner beauty, alluring tenderness, inviting sense of humor, and wit. Desiree was passionate, caring, affectionate, and intelligent. She didn't like to hold her feeling back. Francis was lucky to have her in his life. Francis and Desiree made love surrounded by candles at his apartment 1014. It's steamy, seductive, and passionate. That's the way love goes by Janet Jackson play from CD. They went at it with various erotic positions. Later, after sex, Francis lied on top of Desiree with close eyes, his head was resting between her breasts. She caressed his hair with tenderness. Francis recited a poem in his head. Beloved, you may fall in love with me thinking that I had you at hello. And tell me you love me for reasons that I don't know. Or you may develop feelings for me believing that I am an archer who makes Cupid seem an ice sculpture in Moscow. Your eyes might sparkle with tears whenever I am departure. And you would get infatuated, assuming there is nothing like a heart that is pierced with an arrow. And welcome me with open arms, warm smiles, and delicious kisses. When I return to you with roses, Victoria's Secret lingerie, and dresses designed by Gabrielle Chanel, famously known as Coco. However, it doesn't mean anything compared to what you are doing to my heart. That bleeds sweeter than the wine in Bordeaux. And the flame that burns within every inch of my soul. Electricity that go through my entire body from head to toe. And love that preys on my bone marrow. I don't want to create commotion, or make a scene. But your eyes are sparkling, sweet, piercing, and serene. They are like two lakes in the garden of eternal sunshine. Filled with turquoise stardust, emeralds, and blue diamonds, that are more flammable than ethanol and benzene. They defy everything that is vivid and keen. And any love story adapted for the big screen. This audio file was created by Panopreader Basic. You can download it at www.panopreader.com. Yet, darling, your lips are responsible for the creation of red rose and snowflake. And they are the ones that were brought to trial for the invention of French kiss, fever, and heartache. They are sweeter than honey that the bees make. And the angels keep finding them guilty of hearts that you love to break. I am addicted to you, sweetheart. I can't tell the difference between wrong and right. I respond neither to fight nor flight. I dream about you day and night. I blame your gorgeous face for making me fall in love at sight. No such beauty has ever taken a hold of a soul like how you seized my quintessence outright and stirred up emotions of mine that are responsible for pain and delight. Yet, I wonder if I should hold your eyes accountable for obsession that has neither a cure nor vaccine. I can talk about them from here to eternity and beyond and in between, and forget everything that is painful and mean. But whenever I look at them, they squeeze my spleen and crucify my soul in the air, as if I committed a beautiful sin. Sometimes, I wonder if Aphrodite cut my heart to pieces and painted each beat green and sang them blues till they turned into spell that is more intoxicating than vodka and gin, and sprinkled them into two mysterious seas composed of Psyche's tears that reside in the air so innocent and clean. I have got you under my skin. Passion has crowned you around my soul, as if love were a hypothesis that has to do with a queen. I may lose, you may win. But my heart must constantly adapt, evolve, and love you more and more. Cherish you unconditionally. Not merely to gain access to your soul deep within, but also, simply to live, breathe, and deal with things that make my heart spin. While versus your exceptional sense of sensuality and matchless beauty that tells millions of fairy tales, which I don't know where to begin. It's not irony, but falling madly in love with thee, and adoring you increasingly have become a routine. You are the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. You may still fall in love with me thinking I am a heartthrob that is going to sweep you off your feet over the meadow, and beautify you with diamonds and pearls that hurl defiance at jewelries and precious stones that men once gave to Elizabeth Taylor, Audrey Hepburn, and Marilyn Monroe, which you would rather take for the substance than shadow. Love created you without a flaw. The life that was placed in my essence wants to kiss your lips, as if you were the reason for today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Dreamboat, not only have you wrapped my heart with barbed wire, but you've also given new meaning to craving, lust, and desire. Thou have added a seductive twist to tenderness and thrill, and made anyone, who dared to believe in mercy, a liar. Sometimes, I close my eyes, dream about your beautiful face, and plant kisses on your eyebrows, nose, cheeks, and your chin, as if it were a foreplay. I then kiss your lips French, and say it's night even though it's day. Sometimes, I get up in the middle of the night, envision your sexy eyes on the stars, dance in the limelight, and tell myself it is a little bit infatuation with a femme fatale in spotlight, when I know it is fever in color instead of black and white. Dearest, let me make love to you, till all stars in the sky float in the air, like rose petals that are caught on fire. Give you every beat of my heart, and pure pleasure that I have saved for special moment, which can't be found anywhere, and it will never expire. Kiss your delicious lips and put you above everything that I would die for, love, treasure, and admire. Desiree smiled in beauty as if she heard the poem. Francis opened his eyes and kissed her on the heart. He slowly went down, caressing her belly, and began to give her oral pleasure. Desiree's face glowed with sexual pleasure. Francis and Desiree then made love. Later, Desiree made a music video. She would eventually get recognition. Chapter 8. Fever Restaurant. It was a seductive five-star restaurant. Francis sat at a table with a glass of cognac, waiting for Desiree. On the stage, a girl named Amanda sang Norah Jones's I Don't Know Why. She sounded like an angel that hummed blues to glorify the stars in the sky. Customers enjoyed their outings. Then Desiree, wearing a bewitching red Valentino gown, walked in beauty and looked at Francis. He saw her as well, gave her a charismatic smile, got up from his chair, and walked toward her. She approached him. "Hi," Desiree said under her breath. "Hi," Francis greeted her. Desiree threw her arms around his neck and kissed him before she made a wish. He placed his arms around her waist. They kissed more intimately. They parted their lips. "You look like a rose that fell from the garden of true love," Francis gave her a cool compliment. "Tell me about it," she played along. They exchanged soft kisses. "I think it is illegal to look this beautiful," he said. "Why is that?" "You should be arrested." "I didn't do anything wrong." "You are an highly addictive substance." Her cheek cropped up with a gorgeous smile. They kissed. "I missed you," she said in sweetness. "I missed you too." They kissed more intimately. Francis then pulled a chair for her. She sat in ease. He sat next to her. They talked between soft kisses. "How was your day?" Francis asked. They exchanged soft kisses. "It was okay," she replied. "But I got sick at the last minute." "What happened?" They exchanged soft kisses. "Stupid migraine," she said. "I felt dizzy. Do you want me to take you home?" They were talking to each other between soft kisses. "No. I'll be fine," she said tastefully, as if it were the last thing in her mind. "I just need to take my medicine." They kissed French. "I love you," she expressed her true feeling softly. "I love you, too," he said down by her lips. They kiss intimately. The waiter came to their table. "How may I take your order?" he asked them. They looked at the menus. "What are you ordering?" Francis asked Desiree. "I'll just have Caesar salad," Desiree said, and put the menu on the table. Francis looked at the menu for 2 seconds. "I'll get grilled barbecue chicken sandwich," he made a good order, and gave the menu to the waiter. "Anything to drink, mademoiselle?" the waiter asked Desiree. "Cognac," she said without hesitation. The waiter wrote it down on his notepad and grabbed the other menu. "I'll be with you in a minute," he said as if he were making a promise, and walked away. Meanwhile, Amanda began to sing Norah Jones's Come Away With Me. She sounded pleasant like a bird in the Garden of Eden. Francis and Desiree gazed at each other's eyes softly. "What's it?" she asked. "This femme fatale, I can't get enough her. Tell me about her." "They say that her beauty is coded in her gene. She left the cover of Vogue magazine. But all I know is her face lights up my world. Like photons that don't obey the law of speed. She loves to appear in my memories and cast spell throughout my soul in my hour of need. Her luscious lips shape each scene. They are supernatural phenomena. Sweet things that make my heart bleed. She is like a rose that floats on a pure lake. Whenever I look at her radiant face, she gives me a beautiful ache. As if she cut my heart with a broken vase. I like how her eyes are green. She is the most hypnotic girl I have ever seen. I have no choice but to plead. As if she came out of the big screen. Didn't need permission to proceed. And sat with me to play with my heart. That she loves to devour like a cuisine." They got closer and kissed French. Later, Amanda sang Rihanna's Diamonds like an angel whose heart was caught on fire. Desiree and Francis danced slow on the open floor silently. They then kissed intimately. Francis's apartment. Francis and Desiree made love surrounded by candles and roses. It was seductive, steamy, and passionate. Chapter 9. An airplane flight in the air. Desiree and Francis sat in the first class. They talked between soft kisses. The steward then approached them with drinks. She gave Francis a cranberry juices. She placed a glass of wine in front of Desiree, and walked away. Desiree and Francis took sips from their drinks and continued to talk between soft kisses. They were heading to the Bahamas. Later, Francis chased Desiree down the shoreline. She ran down the beach, smiling and laughing in delight. Francis caught Desiree and picked her up in the air high. She screamed joyously. He brought her down, kissed her, then carried her over his shoulder, and took her to the ocean as she laughed screaming with elation. They fell into the ocean, playing like little kids, who thought they were the cherubs in Cloud 9. Ocean shore. Few minutes later, Francis, under, and Desiree, on the top, kissed lying on the shore like Burt Lancaster and Deborah Kerr from here to eternity as waves crashed on their bodies. Francis then rolled over and got Desiree on the bottom and kissed her lips. She put her arms around him. They kissed more passionately. Later, Desiree and Francis swam in the middle of the ocean. She came swimming to Francis. He swam toward her. They got closer and kissed passionately as the twilight scatters across the ocean in splendor. The Bahamas Hotel and Restaurant. Francis and Desiree sat at a table, enjoying glasses of red wines. On the stage, Tim, the lead singer of a reggae band called the Blues Boys, sang UB40's The Way You Do the Thing You Do. On the dancing floor, some vacationers danced freely. Desiree looked at Francis's eyes. "Why do we feel like we have to justify our thoughts to find peace of mind?" she asked. "Sometimes, it's not how you work against your instinct, but it's how you work around your conscience that brings peace to your heart, the benefit of the doubt. However, if you are trying to defy stars instead of reaching for them, don't let anything get between your dreams, true feelings, and even your sense of existence. Just allow your heart to guide you the direction that you want to go. And above everything, and no matter what, don't let anybody stop you. What about confusion? Confusion is just a set of hidden orders that are designed to distinguish your thoughts from your emotion, and leads you toward contentment at the regular basis. It is an example. Suppose you see a slice of cake. Your instinct tells you, I want it. But your mind tells you, it's not good for your health. It has too much sugar. It's a war between your fear and desire that is fought in the subconscious mind, which eventually makes a difference at the most defining moments in your life. Is that so? I'm kidding. I don't know anything about confusion or peace of mind, but the most beautiful girl in the world, sitting in front of me. And at the same time, like quantum physics, she is running in my heart in search of pulses that are designed to bleed for her instead of beating. And she hunts them infinity miles per second. And prey on them mercilessly like a cheetah that refuses to drink water, but quench her thirst with the blood that roves through her victim's veins. You then slaved my soul with your beautiful eyes as if you had something against me. I do have something against you. What is it? I lost my heart. You stole it. I need it back. What are you going to do with it? I can't think straight without my heart. I have become a lunatic. I think I got it worse than you. I can look at your beautiful eyes and forget all my troubles. And suddenly, I become helpless like a bird that flies through tornado. That's flattering, she said with a beautiful smile. But tell me something seductive. Has anyone told you that you're the most sensuous living soul in the world? What's sensuous? She asked. Beautiful and sensual. A girl who is stimulating to all six senses, sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing, and intuition. Dead drop gorgeous. Do you have another definition? You have this arresting inner glow that floods out of your soul like a river in the garden of eternal beauty. And not only does it make your eyes sparkle more colorful than Polaris, but it also makes your skin glow in the dark as if the very essence of you were created with pure light, roses, and morning stardust mixed with the forbidden heartbeats of Aphrodite. However, that has nothing to do with your astonishing sense of sensuality, or rather your body should take some of the credit for its supernatural shape. It gives new meaning to sensual, voluptuous, and pulchritudinous. Is that so? You are intoxicating from your head to your toes. Every time I look at thee, you leave me high and dry. Whatever. I swear I have never met anyone like you in this world. You are the definition of bel amour. I am not convinced. Tell me a poem. I prayed somehow, I would find peace of mind. And from all of my organs, you chose my heart. For a moment, I thought love was splendidly kind. And every beat of my heart vowed to love you. Till misery do us part. Yet, you are so gorgeous. My soul can't help but to jump out of my heart. And float in the air like a butterfly. That is dancing tango in the wind. Whenever I look at you, I swear you injure my heart. In the most beautiful way possible. Till I forget I am mankind. You then make me feel high. Like love potion mixed with cocaine and champagne. You send shockwave throughout my cardiovascular system. Like an electric voltage till I feel the sprain. Your face, eyes, nose, lips, cheeks have burned in my brain. I become infatuated with you in vain. Till I tear my aorta again and again. And your eyes get a kick out of my pain. Your lips love to drive me insane. I swear to the force that created the stars, it is true. And suddenly, without explanation whatsoever, I feel blue. My heart is not half of the cardiac muscle used to be. Still I am nothing without you, and my heart too. But are you better of me? Maybe, love allows us to keep things in perspective. And do whatever it feels right. However, passion is not designed to set us free. But bring us together in candlelight. Passion is fanatic. It makes anything that comes between us an antic. And above everything and without further ado, it allows us to indulge ourselves with delicious fruits. Kisses and caresses that we pick from the garden of. Beautiful and romantic. You can always play an important role. Or soothe the butterfly in your belly when you take a stroll. And incline toward things that make you feel whole. Keep the heart that you stole. But allow me to make love to you. Till the ice in Arctic melts and rains down in South Pole. Let us be baptized in fever and kiss till we are sore. Dreamboat, give our sweats consents to water flowers. Of love and fantasies and cover them with steam and dew. Like roses that I dropped on a shore. Let us build gardens of mysteries and desires. That has delicious wishes and breathtaking view. Let them get wet with ecstasy ultravires. So they would bear fruits when butterflies woo. Upon which we are going to feed each other. As though we invented pleasure and fires. Give me permission to feed you love that I like to pour. Let me indulge your wishes with tenderness and excitement. Whenever you feel hungry and ask for more. And make love to you till you feel the heat to the core. Pleasing you is my #1 goal. I have promised to give you gratification in so many ways. Till you lose grasp of reality and feel out of control. Allow me to caress your neck, plant soft kiss on you belly. Make love to you, bestow true love upon your essences. And mend your heart, on which lust takes its toll. Let me kiss your lips and cuddle you next to my heart. Till you become part of my soul. You know how to make love to my heart, don't you? She asked without expecting straight answer. At the same time, Tim begins to sing Bob Marley's Stir It Up. Do you want to dance? Francis asked and gave her his hand to dance. Sure. She took his hand. They got up and walked to the open floor. Her arms around Francis's neck, his arms around her waist, they danced slow with Stir It Up. What do you want out of life, she asked. I want nothing but you. They kissed intimately, parted their lips, and resumed dancing silently breath to breath. Francis, she whispered. Francis looked at her eyes softly. What's it, dreamboat, he asked under his breath. I love you very much. You make me the happiest girl alive. You haven't seen anything yet, he boasted romantically. They kissed French. Are you happy, she asked. I am the happiest man in the world. They kissed more intimately. Chapter 9. South Beach. The sky was filled with sparkling stars. The moon was bright as if the sun traded its place with a round object that orbited the earth. Waves on the ocean were busy crashing on each other as if they were playing a game that had to do with Catch Me If You Can. Desiree and Francis sat in a bathtub placed inside the shore. He was behind. She was resting on his chest. He recited Thomas More's Believe Me, if all those endearing young charms down by her neck from memory. Believe me, if all those endearing young charms, which I gaze on so fondly today, were to change by tomorrow, and fleet in my arms, like fairy gifts fading away, thou wouldst still be adored, as this moment thou art. Let thy loveliness fade as it will, and around the dear ruin each wish of my heart would entwine itself verdantly still. It is not while beauty and youth are thine own, and thy cheeks unprofaned by a tear, that the fervor and faith of a soul can be known, to which time will but make thee more dear. No, the heart that has truly loved never forgets, but as truly loves unto the close, as the sunflower turns on her god, when he sets, the same look which she turned when he rose. Francis kissed her on the cheek. There was a silent moment. There is a lot of thing I want to accomplish before I reach a certain age, Desiree breathed her goals into the silent. Don't worry. They all come to you naturally. Just believe in yourself, he assured her. I thinks I am possessed by demons. Confusion keeps getting the best of me. Every path of thought I stride through, I see a set of patterns that keep me at bay as if my mind were playing tricks with my feelings in order to get a kick out of my pain. Sometimes, it feels like that, your mind is playing tricks with your feeling. It wouldn't even allow you to take risks. And any strength that it sees, it will test it. And any weakness that it finds, it will expose it till it shows you the way to your heart. It's a basic principle of life disguised as painful lessons to see what you are made of. Then it will let you do whatever you want to do. There was another pause. What would you have done if you were a god, she asked after a moment of silence. I would create a drug that makes me last longer in bed, so I could make love to you for days without leaving the house. You are amazing in bed. You don't need any drug. We make love for 10 hours. I don't want to stop. I want to make love to you 5 straight days without stopping. You aren't planning to kill me by any chance, are you? I just want to cuddle you naked for hours, forget all my troubles, and be born again in your heart like a Pentecostal who has a lot of sins. And have a direct personal experience to your soul through the gorgeous heat that your body produce, and perhaps, later on, speak to your heart with tongue. You are freak, she said with humor. No, I am not freak, he defended himself as if it didn't matter. I love the heat that your body generates. There is nothing like it. Whatever. Francis kissed her on the shoulder. What would you have done if you were a goddess, he asked. I would have changed all the oxygen in the air into love potion and watched people fall in love with each other. You would have made the greatest goddess in the universe, he said softly down by her neck and kissed her on the shoulder. There was a pause. Do you believe in God, she asked after a moment of silence. Do you? I want to, but science tells you that the universe existed from an infinitesimal point 14 billion years ago in a Big Bang. At the same time, God, or no God, you hear Juliet saying, give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars. And he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night, she said in ease. Francis kissed her shoulder and expressed his faith in a poetic way. If I were a god, I would start Genesis from the beginning. Build heavens with the stars in your eyes, the Garden of Eden with flowers on your lips, and make them the source of all sweetness and blisses, and give you saints and angels with kisses. He kissed her on the shoulder. I would create life from your heartbeat, give them souls, with the butterfly in your belly when it flaps its wings, and watch them multiply into dynasties, legends, princesses, princes, queens, and kings. I would create a sword from the passion that you put in my heart, sharpen it with your collarbones. Cut down all your worries, fears, nemesis, and doubts into pieces, and hang them on strings. He kissed her on the shoulder. I would create oceans, lakes, seas, and rivers with your tears. Wash away all sins on earth, and free each heart from curse. Make stardust and galaxies from wishes that you make. And promise to love you forever, give you the best that I got. And stand by you when things get worse. I would kiss your lips, and make love to you, till your soul lights up the universe. Francis kisses her on the shoulder. Desiree closed her eyes and said, tell me more. I then come in flesh and blood and show you a good time. Make sure you enjoy yourself very much indeed. Take you to a shopping spree. Buy you all kinds of fashion dresses, jewelries, and shoes from Chanel, Prada, and Burberry. We would purchase sunglasses, hats, and purses at Dior and Dolce & Gabbana. Add few more items at Gucci that you don't really need. We would grab a couple of lingerie from Victoria's Secret that are going to bring your wild side. And a red nightgown that makes you want to strip for me. As though you had nothing but a heart that loves to bleed. We would even buy a postcard from Hallmark just in time. And send to your best friend who likes to smoke weed. I might have said that to make it rhyme. However, I would turn my heartbeats into expectations that nobody can exceed. But make your fantasies my creed. So your love would flood in my heart with full speed. I would kiss your lips with sweet greed. And give you everything that I have agreed. But first, we would drink red wines at a romantic restaurant. And if you don't like the food, we would go to a supermarket. I would buy groceries while pushing you in a shopping cart. I know you are a sweetheart. But let me pretend I am a heartthrob. And fall in love with thee for who thou art. We would cook lobsters and shrimps at my house. As though we needed a fresh start. You would play your part. I would play my part. We would dance while cooking, kiss here and there. And even make love in the kitchen any which way. Like lovers in Stuttgart. We would then take it to the bedroom and do it. Like Discovery Channel till our hearts rip apart. Desiree smiled in beauty, turned around, and gave him her lips. They kissed French. Miami Resort. Francis and Desiree made love at their room. It was sensual, steamy, and passionate as usual. Francis was on top, entering her enchantingly. Desiree was dying with pleasure. She scratched his lower back with her nails. He didn't mind that at all. He was deep between her leg, making sure he got full penetration. Francis wanted to give Desiree the best sexual pleasure possible, and wouldn't hold anything back till she took her last breath with intense climax and parted from this world figuratively speaking, but he felt it was his duty to please her beyond her wildest fantasy and deepest desire, and bestow beautiful passion upon her soul till she experienced mean orgasm. Meanwhile, Desiree didn't want to be passive, got on top, and rid him cowgirl style as if she had something to prove. They did it with various erotic positions. Lake House. A new 2018 black Mercedes convertible drove in the natural region of Miami. Francis was behind the wheel. Desiree sat in the passenger seat. They were driving silently. Francis and Desiree then came to a beautiful lake house and parked the car in front of the villa. Francis stepped out the car, walked around the automobile, and carried Desiree out of the car. She put her arms around him and kissed him. They kissed more seductively. They headed to the house, joining lips to lips in a fervent kiss. Francis opened the door with his foot. They entered in ease. There was no furniture in the living room. It was a brand new house. Francis carried Desiree to the main bedroom. Even though it was supposed to be a new house, they found a luxurious king-size bed as if someone made a plan ahead of time. Francis placed Desiree on the bed, came closer to her lips, and gave her a soft kiss on the lips. Desiree put her arms around his neck. They kissed French. Francis then looked at Desiree's eyes tenderly. "Do you have any idea how erogenous you are?" he asked. "What's erogenous?" "Wait, let me see it on the dictionary." Francis took out his cell phone from his pocket, accessed internetdictionary.com, and typed erogenous in the dialog box. It reads, erogenous. Adjective. 1. Especially sensitive to sexual stimulation, as certain areas of the body, erogenous zones. 2. Arousing or tending to arouse sexual desire, sexually stimulating. Sensitive to sexual stimulation, as certain areas of the body, erogenous zones. A girl that arouses sexual desire, sexually stimulating. He added few twists to the definition. Francis gave her a soft kiss on the lips. She throwed her arms around his neck. They kissed more intimately. "France," she said softly. "What is it, sweetheart?" There was a pause. "I'm pregnant," she said under her breath. Francis closed her eyes, drifted deep his heart for about 5 seconds, then opened his eyes, and gave her a soft kiss on the lips. Francis slowly went down and placed his cheek on her belly as if he were listening to the baby's heartbeat inside her stomach. He then kissed her belly. "It kicks. Is it a boy or a girl?" he asked. "It's girl." He kisses her belly again. "It is a girl," he wanted to make sure as if it didn't really matter. "I am kidding," she said with humor. "It's only 4 weeks. I don't know whether it's boy or a girl. It could be anything." Francis smiled charismatically and leaned next to her, gazing at her eyes. He then gave her a soft kiss on the lips. They gazed at each other's eyes for seconds as if they were having a gazing contest. "I fucking love you," she said lightly. "I love you too." They kissed intimately. Desiree and Francis lied on a small boat that was floating on a pure sparkling lake. Her head was resting on his chest. He read her a poem from a book that he wrote. "On one occasion, my aunt said I was like flood. I loved you more than my own flesh and blood. And if I didn't tell you that I was crazy about you from the bottom of my heart, instead of acting like a stud, I would die alone. And they would bury me in the mud. I thought that you didn't care about anything. You were going to marry a gentleman who would just treat you with respect instead of love. And be a good wife. You then looked at me with the corner of your eye and cut my heart sharper than a knife. Dreamboat, you are love. I wish you had the time of your life. You have saved me from pain that is rife. Ironically, things are seldom what they seem. The spell that you cast in my heart is supreme. I prey on passion. I would neither go against love in a diet regime, nor scream. The fever is so extreme. Even though I am wounded. We have always done things well as a team. I swear I wouldn't act smart. Either drop by a hospital. And look at X-ray and medical chart. Or pull you up for a start. It would never heal. Or let me go like love potion that is made of Aphrodite's blood. Helen of Troy's teardrops, roses, superstition, and black art. There is something about you that gives me spiritual zeal. Your beauty is matchless but surreal. It is ideal for everything that will never lose its appeal. Honest to God, it is a big deal. Not only do you inspire feelings that are real, but your beauty has also the power to heal. The stars in the sky feel it in their beams. Till they surrender their light on your beautiful face. Like the twilight on the beach of Copacabana in Brazil. And I can only say love has mercy on hearts. That you love to steal. That's beautiful, Desiree gave him a compliment. They kissed. Francis put the book aside. Desiree looked at the sky. I'm thinking about writing a novel, she said. What is it about? It is a story about a girl who travels to the future through a time machine that her grandfather built. She meets one of the greatest poets in history at the year 3000 and falls in love with him. In the end, she chooses to stay with him in the future. That sounds classic. I will start writing when I have free time. Let the chips fall where they may. They kissed. What is your secret? She asked. What secret? Something about you is mystery. I get this tingling in my heart as if I were looking at a messiah. It is because I got you in my heart. Everything that you see is your effect on me. You made me who I am. They kissed French. Living room. Desiree posed nude for Francis, lying on a mattress. Francis painted her on a blotter. As a matter of fact, he was an amazing painter. Les Grands Boulevards by Yves Montand played melodiously from the stereo. Francis drew her eyes, nose, lips, etc. Later, Francis and Desiree made love on the mattress. It was steamy. They did it with various sexual position. After sex, they sat in the bathtub like Julia Roberts and Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. Desiree was behind. Francis rested between her breasts, reading her a poetry that he wrote. Beloved, let love prevail over hate. Romeo might have told Juliet that he would turn her tears into diamonds that sparkle like the sun that the planets rotate, and change her heart to gold. Some keep it up to date. Others like fashion that is old. And there are those who can't think straight when it comes to a subject that have to do with love, romance, passion, fever, and soulmate. But I understand why sweethearts can't wait to see each other. And when they meet, they are happy. Because they don't care if they pull a weight or eat from the same plate. They just want to fall in love and feel great. And whenever I look at you, your eyes increase my heart rate beyond fate. And things that are designed to thrill, exhilarate, and elate. This audio file was created by Panopreader Basic. You can download it at www.panopreader.com. Perhaps, I am insane. I can't tell the difference between love and pain. I refuse to believe in things that are supposed to make sense. You have broken down my defense. I prey on emotions that are sweet and intense. I have nothing to lose but gain. I don't want to breathe in vain. I want to kiss your lips and dance in the rain. However, I am not going to take a dive. I know how to seduce a girl in the count of 5. Whether it's taped or live. We all are designed to strive. Some like to kick it back with girls that wear their hair straight lob with bangs, or beehive. Go to a concert or watch films that are kept in archive. Others just want to obtain pleasure wherever they can derive. And there are those who talk the talk, walk the walk, and dance to jive. In my case, they might say it's drive. But I doubt if I am going to survive. I swear nobody would be surprised if you find me dead when you arrive. My body depends on the heat that your body produces to warm my soul and replace heat wave that fever continues to deprive. My heart needs your kisses to thrive, and it would stop beating and die for love that you continue to revive. I am nothing without my heart and soul, darling, because I fall head over heels in love with the most gorgeous girl alive. Francis and Desiree kissed. He dropped the book on the floor. Chapter 10. Princess Cruise Boat. A big Christmas party was in progress on Princess Cruise Boat. It was hosted by Loretta. On the stage, Corinne Bailey Rae sang her hit song Like a Star. Beaumont, elite's cream of society, and celebs enjoyed their outings, conversing, drinking, dancing, etc. Desiree, wearing a beautiful light gold gown, and Francis, in suit, walked down by the bar, holding each other arms. They looked like the most glamorous couple in the world. He was in the middle telling her a story. I was sailing in the middle of Pacific Ocean alone. I didn't remember where I was going. But a big wave came and flipped the boat. I fell into the ocean and drowned. Then out of nowhere came this beautiful mermaid and kissed me. Suddenly, I fainted. She took my hand, brought me to a dry land, gave me CPR, and restored me back to life. I looked at her eyes. She had the most beautiful eyes that I had never seen in my life. They sparkled more scintillating than stars in the sky. I asked her what her name was. Desiree, she said, went back into the water, and swam away. That's an amazing story, Desiree said. But is it real or a fairy tale? How do you define real? Real is something that's certified as actual fact. A wise man, recognizing that the world is but an illusion, does not act as if it is real, so he escapes the suffering. Frances quoted Buddha. Who said that? She asked. It's a quote by Buddha. Do you have any other quote that sums up real? I love what I do. I take great pride in what I do. And I can't do something halfway, 3/4, 9/10. If I'm going to do something, I go all the way. Who said that? Tom Cruise. He sounds wiser than Buddha, doesn't he? I mean, you can't escape suffering, thinking that the world is but an illusion. You have to go out and live your life to the fullest. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I would rather make 100 movies like Tom Cruise and Bette Davis, and live multiple lives in a single lifetime through various characters than sit in one place like Buddha, figuring out suffering and the meaning of life, or returning as mice and rabbits, and later entering nirvana, whatever that is. I am with you, he said. But I made up the story to entertain you. It was by far one of the most entertaining stories you have ever told me. You know, it's like doing a motion picture. Francis tried to explain his side of the story. When the director says action, I put a mask and pretend as if I were at the far end of the universe, talking to the most glistering teardrop in the cosmos, the soul that was placed in my heart before creation. You never told me that you used to be an actor. I'm not an actor. I only did few low-budget student films when I was in college. It's amazing. I have always pictured you being a major movie star. You are handsome. It doesn't mean anything. How is that? First, I didn't get paid. Second, I did them, so I could get a kick out of acting. Third, I did it to exercise my demons. They stopped walking and stood lips to lips. I want you to kiss me as if you were in a film set, she made a beautiful request. As you wish, Dreamboat. They kissed French. She put her arms around him, he placed his arms around her, and they kissed more intimately as if their tongues and lips were made out of their wishes, dreams, and fantasies. Meanwhile, Corinne Bailey Rae continued to sing like a star as though her heart were light as feather. Then out of nowhere came Loretta, wearing a light orange gown, and approached Francis and Desiree. What's up, she said. What's up? Desiree responded. They cuddle and kiss on the cheeks. Loretta turns her attention to Francis. I know you're having a lot of fun, she tried to toy with his emotion. It's a great party, he said. Loretta and Francis kissed on the cheeks. I thought that you were going to perform tonight. Desiree asked. That was the original plan. But Michelle got sick. What happened? Stomach upset. She had some kind of food poison. I'm sorry to hear that. I think it is an allergy, Loretta said with hesitation. She will be fine. It's not life-threatening. That was supposed to be a joke. They all smile moderately. Your party looks amazing, Desiree said, as though it were a compliment that she found in her purse. Well, so far everything is going according to the plan, Loretta said without a care in the world. She looked at Francis with seduction and told Desiree, you just have to keep an eye on this handsome devil. He has something I want. Desiree looked at Francis in the eyes. What's it? She asked. It's nothing, he replied and gave Desiree a soft kiss on the lips. Tell me something I should know, Loretta demanded Francis to seduce her. You should know. You're the god's inimitable claim to fame, and like Audrey Hepburn and Lana Turner, everything about you is to love with flame, and to kiss without ever mentioning your last name. That's something, but what that means, to kiss without ever mentioning my last name. You mean I'm promiscuous like Lana Turner? Just bleeding love. Loretta looked at Desiree. How come you let him speak to me like that? She got her involved in the mix. He used to be an actor, Desiree made a good excuse for Francis. Give him 2-3 seconds. He'll tell you everything that you want to hear in a blink of an eye. Is that right? Loretta asked him. Francis gave her his hand. Loretta took his hand. Francis gazed at Loretta's eyes with seduction for about 3 seconds and complimented her beauty with a poem. She's beautiful tulip. Her beauty is sexual. Between angel and a maleficent. Her eyes burn souls with desire. Her lips tell fantasies and adventures. About a girl, who was accused of being a beautiful liar. And once upon a time set many hearts on fire. When she is happy, all hearts are happy. When she suffers, all hearts suffer. And if the gods were to understand her. She just wants to give her beautiful heart. And have fun. Leave her mark on Jupiter, Mars, and Saturn. Someone to love, someone to hold her. A soul to kiss her sweeter than the sun. Francis gave Loretta a soft kiss on the cheek, let her hand go with style, took a step back, and threw his arm around Desiree's waist as they all smiled in amazement. That's something, Desiree said. It's cute, Loretta threw a comment as well. But I didn't know my beauty was sexual. Forgive me, Francis said naturally. I meant divine from the bottom of my heart. That would have sounded innocent, Loretta played along. But I prefer sexual. You can get away with a lot of things, which might get you in serious troubles in typical days. They all smiled moderately. In the meantime, a good-looking man named Mark Johnson, 25, Desiree's former lover, wearing navy uniform walked up to the circle, came behind Loretta, and kissed her on the temple. Hi, Mark said. Loretta turned her eyes. Where have you been? She asked. I was around. Loretta and Mark kissed on the lips. She told Desiree, I'm sorry. I forget to tell you. We have been seeing each other for quite some times. What's up? He said to Desiree. Nothing much. They kissed on the cheeks, greeting as though they wanted to get over it and let the awkward movement pass naturally. "I'm Mark," the newcomer said his name with pride, and gave Francis his hand to shake. Francis shook his hand. "Francis. The famous poet?" Mark gave him a prop. "I read some of your work. It's amazing." "Thanks." Mark threw his hand around Loretta's waist and held her dearly. "I might have to steal a phrase too from your book for my vow, a speech that I am working on for our wedding day," he said with conviction and gave Loretta a kiss on the lips. Desiree seemed a little bit uneasy but remained super cool. She gave them a faint smile as if she didn't give a damn whether they get married in front of the Pope or make a pilgrimage to Las Vegas and tie the knot in front of an Elvis impersonator. She just wanted to get over with it. On the other hand, Loretta felt a little bit guilty and told Desiree, "We just got engaged 3 weeks ago. And we are getting married on June. That is something. I wanted to tell you about it," Loretta said, as if she wished the earth would open, swallow her, and spit her out in a beach where the sand was warm, so she could take off her shoes and run down the shoreline without wetting her feet, away from her discomfort like a little girl. "But I didn't know how to do it. It was supposed to be a surprise," Mark interrupts her. "But we want you to be our first and only bridesmaid." "You, too, Francis," Loretta said. "I want you to be the best person if that's not too much to ask. We are changing the traditional wedding structure. We can pick whoever we want to." He picked her. "I chose you. Technically, you are my bride man, and she is his best woman. You don't have to wear dress, and she doesn't have to wear a suit unless you want to," Mark made a joke. They all smiled moderately. "It sounds like a plot that you picked up from a romantic comedy," Desiree replied, as if she were throwing a joke of her own. "It does, doesn't it?" Mark intercepted her. "I might pitch it to Hollywood. They like this kind of stuff." "It's up to you, Francis," Loretta said, as though he were her imaginary friend that she liked to talk to in her head. "You don't have to say yes if you don't want to. It's okay. I would love to be your bride man. We are going to get you the best dress in Miami," Mark made fun of him kindly. They had small laughter. "It is a joke," Mark said. "But it's going to be a private wedding with hardly anyone. Few friends and family and people we know here and there," Loretta added. "It's cool," Desiree softened the tension. "I wish you the best." A girl named Stacy, 25, came behind Loretta, tapped her on the shoulder, and told her, "Michelle says she's ready. Give me few seconds. I'll be there in a minute." Stacy nodded sure. Loretta turned her attention back to Desiree and Francis as Stacy walked away in the background. "Let me get back to the show," Loretta said, as if she wanted to flee and forget this awkward moment for a while. "They are waiting for me." She came up to Desiree. They hugged like strangers who might have run into each other in Tokyo. "I should have told you. It just happened out of blue," she tried to add sympathy to injury compulsively as if a mental patient were saying, "I hope I am not crazy," as Britney Spears referring to when one time, the pop star had nervous breakdown. Yet, Loretta held her ground. "It's okay," Desiree said. "Don't sweat it. I want you to be happy." Loretta and Desiree kissed on the cheeks. Loretta turned to Francis and reminded Desiree, "Watch out this bad boy. He's wild at heart." Loretta and Francis kiss on the cheeks. "Merry Christmas," she wished Francis happy holiday. "Merry Christmas." Mark hugged Desiree as well. They kissed on the cheeks. "I thought about you a lot before I made the decision," Mark said. "It's okay. I am happy for you. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas." Mark and Loretta held hands. "Enjoy the party," Loretta said to Francis and Desiree. "We'll see you around." Loretta and Mark walked away, leaving Desiree and Francis to make something out of the movement. Desire seemed a little bit confused but amused. "That was crazy," she said. "Crazy like this." Francis held her waist, brought her closer, and gave her a wild kiss as her back arched to some extent. A sweet seductive kiss. He then brought her back. "What was that?" she asked. "It's divine intervention." Desiree threw her arms around his neck. They kissed French. "Her beauty is sexual, between angel and maleficent, and bleeding love," she reminded him. "That's quite seductive if you ask me. I was kind of jealous. It only means pretty compared to you, beautiful. Between supernatural and a rose, a heart without a cloth. I know you were going to say something sexy like that. I don't have a choice but to forgive you, do I? We are even. When I fell in love with you, I never had a choice, either." They kissed. "What does my beauty like?" she asked. Sweet French kiss. They kissed French. Later, Loretta sang head over heels. The guests danced slow on the open floor. Mark sat at a bar and drank scotch straight while watching Loretta sing. Francis and Desiree danced alone at the far end of the boat quietly. Desiree seemed lost in thought. For a moment, she asked herself why she fell in love with a bad boy. But it was beyond her control. Desiree thought she was like a prostitute, who tried to quit smoking, but a prince kidnapped her heart, injected its spell that he mixed with cocaine and heroin, and put it in a prison cell. She was hooked mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. However, that's where the similarities end. Maybe, the parable had nothing to do with how she felt at all, it was something that she saw in films. Rich American girls go to Europe for vacation. Eastern European gangsters kidnap them. They then drug the girls and sell them to Arabs like Taken starring Liam Neeson and Maggie Grace. Desiree wished she could cut open her chest between her breasts, remove her heart, give it to Francis while it was still beating, and there was nothing that she could do but to hope it would speak behalf of her that she loved him more than anything else in the world, as though it were the only option that she was left. She felt a little bit jealous when Francis made advances at Loretta, even though his intention was not to hurt anyone, but to entertain girls whom he found attractive. Desiree knew it, but did she? Her mind was racing like a butterfly that is flying above the cloud. She imagined she was at Cupid and Psyche's wedding reception. They were serving passion, fever, kisses, desires, longing, lust, yearning, fantasies, pleasure, and other things. Desiree was standing with an open heart, and suddenly, she grew a conscience, and wanted to know how many calories those things that love is made of had, like Rebel Wilson at a pitch-perfect premiere party. Should she diet? Desiree didn't think so. And the twist was she was Psyche, and he was Cupid. It was their wedding. She just wanted to fall in love with the most romantic man in the solar system and never look back like a teenager who just lost her virginity to Jesus Christ, figuratively speaking. But she craved for an instant to gorge him, craved his secrets, craved his lips, his kisses, his breath, wanted to be a part of him, yearned his heart to last beat. Desiree wouldn't hold her feeling back. She had found a man that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. "Are you enjoying Christmas?" Francis asked after a moment of silence. "It's okay." There was a pause. "I thought she was my friend," she expressed her disappointment deceivingly. "She could have told me that she was marrying my ex." Francis chose not to say anything. Meanwhile, Desiree didn't want to add a word. That was her least concern. They continued to dance quietly. Francis then took out his cell phone, played Les Feuilles Mortes by Yves Montand, put it on the table, and resumed dancing with the love of his life. Desiree looked at his eyes and softly said, "Francis." "What is it, dreamboat?" he asked under his breath. "Do you love me? More than life itself?" Francis gave her a soft kiss on the lips. "Don't tell me that is my Christmas present," she dared him be more romantic. Francis couldn't help but to smile, as if he should have known better than to express his emotion like a psychopath who thinks life is a bowl of lemons, and began to tell her a fairy tale poetically. Once upon a time, there was a boy who was compelled to sell his heartbeats to ripples on a stream. He even talked in his sleep to be with the girl of his dream. But the boy fell into misery and felt incomplete. Because he couldn't breathe. Or live with a heart that didn't beat. There was a witch who mastered the art of deceit. She deceived the poor boy. So she could get satisfaction from trick and treat. He felt lost, confused, and bone dry. As if he had spent most of his life in the desert. Without water, but tears that passion made him cry. He wished he could kiss her lips and tell a lie. So he would fly without ache for a while and get by. But he couldn't deny, he knew she was the most beautiful girl that had ever taken a sigh. He had fallen in love in a blink of an eye. He didn't want to play a spy. Or act tongue-tied. He needed her like the rain in July. Yet love had left him to die. Later, he saw the girl, walking in the street. She was so beautiful, radiant, and sweet. His heart stopped beating over a minute. Snow fell from the sky. And all he wanted to do was kiss her from head to feet. Make love to her till she was hot. And cuddle her naked and feel the heat. Despite the fact that he was a little bit lewd but bold. She kissed his lips, revitalized his heart. And restore heartbeats that he sold. I can always end the story with "they lived happily ever after." And act upon emotions that my heart hasn't yet controlled. But I want to kiss your lips and sign my name across your soul. As though it were the most romantic love story ever told. Out of nowhere, Francis produced a rose like a magician. "Merry Christmas," he said softly, and gave her the rose. Desiree didn't know how he did it and didn't care less. "Merry Christmas," she breathed those two blessed words like a femme fatale that experienced divine intervention. They kissed French as if they tongue and lips were made up from each other's heart and soul. Lake house. Francis and Desiree made love at their lake house. They did it with various erotic positions. Later, they sat in the bathtub that was placed in the middle of the living room. He was behind. She was resting on his chest with close eyes. On the TV, Mr. and Mrs. Smith starring Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt was showing, but they had put it on mute, so they could listen to No Orderly Love by Sada from CD. In the meantime, Francis recited poetry down by her neck from memory. "Maybe, my heart is not fit. Let excitement chew me up and spit me out bit by bit. And good time kick me while I am down. Like a heartbeat that falls in a pit. I would take the hit. I should have come to think of it. Maybe, the sex can wait. Instead, we would bake cakes. That is going to serve as dessert and tidbit. However, would anybody be satisfied with life that offers love without a wit? Sometimes, I say things in order to make you smile. I hope it is worthwhile. This is not a trial. Love goes with your character, allure, and style. The truth is I can't get enough of you. I am in love with your cheeks. Which I have developed an infatuation with the light that they emit. I have a crush on the stars in your eyes. They sparkle like teardrops that the sun has forever lit. I am so hot and heavy about your scrumptious lips. And sometimes, I want to kiss you without a permit. Among other things, and most of all, I get turned on by crime that you continue to commit. I am left with a beautiful heart that you love to slit. But I would let you stitch it with soft kisses instead of needle and thread. While we are dancing. As if you were knitting the word love in my heart. Meanwhile, I would caress and kiss your lips. And heal your heart that I might have pierced with a dart. Later, we would sit at the dinner table and eat what we cook in candlelight while watching Casablanca. Starring Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart. Should we then take a walk in the beach? As if we had apple pie and lemon tart. And tell you regardless of what the stars in the sky make of the moment. I will always be true to you in good times and in bad. In sickness and in health, as if love were art. I will love and adore you all the days of my life. Till fever do us part? Or kiss your lips in moonlight. And write a fairy tale in your heart. That has neither ending nor a start. Perhaps, we would have dessert and feed each other. When Rick tells Isla here's looking at you, kid. And take love from the romantic to the sublime. And when Ilsa tells Rick, kiss me as if it were the last time. I would stop everything that I am doing, get up. And kiss your sweet lips with every beat of my heart. And let you know I am your partner in crime. Till I turn the electrolytes in your saliva into sonnets. That give new denotation to verse and rhyme. Nonetheless, I got a kid. Sometimes, I do things for benefit. I know how to navigate like a pilot in a cockpit. We can always watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith. When John and Jane dance tango as if it were a comedy skit. And later cheer for them versus the bad guys. Till Angelina Jolie throws a knife at Brad Pitt. And leaves him with something to think about it. But I am fascinated with everything that you do. And evidences that prosecutors submit. Are we innocent until proven guilty and then acquit? Let discipline give shape to determination and true grit. I take no part of it. Because it is impossible to resist you ever for a little bit. I have no choice but to admit. Blood runs through all over my veins whenever I look at you. Self-control, dignity, and discretion might as well quit. My heart explodes inside my body when you stand in front of me. Without a single drop of cloth that they call outfit. Or perhaps, we should charge it to the dust. And let the rain settle it. We would kiss till we are high. Make love till our hearts grow wings, and fly in the sky. Cuddle you next to my heart, and promise to love you. Till the day I die. Desiree beamed with a soft beautiful smile, opened her eyes, and gave Francis her lips to kiss. They kissed French. Chapter 11. Broadway. Desiree sings insane. Luke Jordan was behind the piano. Patrick Lewis played a double bass. Jerry Cole played guitar. Ray Jackson played saxophone. The audiences watched her with great interest. Lyrics was written by Desiree. She borrowed it from Francis's poems. Roses are red. The sky is blue. Maybe, I want to lie on my bed. And fantasize about making love to you. My friends tell me, love is illusion. That I created to trick the demons in my head. It is fiction that sounds good to be true. But whenever I am with you, I want to kiss your lips. Like fairy tales that I have read. Turn the blood in your veins into wine. And the candy in your heart into bread. Quench my thirst with true love. And forget everything they said. Maybe, I am insane. I can't tell the difference between love and pain. I refuse to believe in common sense. You break down my defense. I don't want to breathe in vain. I want to kiss your lips. And dance in the rain. Francis, who was sitting at the first row, watched her in admiration. Desiree continued to sing. My friend said romance is dead. It is a bad emotion and might as well be taboo. So it wouldn't remind me tears that I shed. But I don't know why my heart skips beats. Whenever I think about you. They tell me it is a shame. My thought and feeling look the same. Why did I fall in love with a boy? That plays a game. When things fall apart. It's me they blame. But it is an addiction. My soul keeps telling me what to do. As if falling in love with you were new. And I swear nothing gives me more pleasure than making love to you. Till our bodies are covered with sweats and dew. Maybe, I am insane. I can't tell the difference between love and pain. I refuse to believe in common sense. You break down my defense. I don't want to breathe in vain. I want to kiss your lips. And dance in the rain. Francis continued to watch as Desiree in wonder as she sang like an angel whose heart's pierced with as an arrow. Juliet might have told Romeo that she would turn his tears into diamonds. And change his heart to gold. Some keeps it up to date. Others like fashion that is old. But I need something sweet in my life. You are a heartthrob, baby. You are brave and bold. You can always cut my heart with a knife. But my body depends on the heat that your body produces to survive. I need your kiss to feel alive. It is you, I want to make love to. Cuddle and hold when it's cold. And kiss your lips with the most romantic fairy tale that has ever told. Maybe, I am insane. I can't tell the difference between love and pain. I refuse to believe in common sense. You break down my defense. I don't want to breathe in vain. I want to kiss your lips. And dance in the rain. Francis's Mercedes convertible drove in the aesthetic part of Miami. Francis was behind the wheel. Desiree sat next to him. Sometimes, I wish I had the power to read people's hearts and find out what goes through their mind, and what they know about love, she said. What do you know about love? He asked. I know love is a feeling that gives passion the benefit of the doubt. Francis smiled to himself but said nothing. There was a silent moment. They continued to drive quietly. What's love to you? She asked him. The beauty mark on your cheek. A hickey. And a feeling that makes your heart tremble like a hummingbird, flapping its wings in the air. Desiree unbuckled her seat belt, came up to him, and sat on his lap. Francis's convertible wobbled and drove off the lane. Francis pulled over at the side of the road. Desiree sat on his lap. They kissed French. They parted their lips. The twilight breezed on Desiree's face with splendor. She looked breathtaking. You look like an orange chrysanthemum that leaped out of my heart, he complimented her. It's not fair. Why do you have to be so romantic, she asked. I can't help it. You are the most beautiful girl in the world. How much do you love me? Infinity, he said from the bottom of his heart. What is infinity? Every star, particles, atoms, and molecule in the universe is multiplied by eternity. There are no words to describe the feeling that I have for you. But you have made it so easy to breathe and kiss by being the very soul in my heart. I am nothing without you. They kissed French. Francis and Desiree made love at the lake house. They did it with various erotic positions as if it were their favorite things to do. Later, Desiree and Francis sat in the bathtub. He was behind. She was resting on his chest with close eyes. He recited a poem down by her neck from memory. Tell me what turns you on, dreamboat. Is to travel to Paris, visits everything that the city of light has to offer. And kiss under the Eiffel Tower? Or to dance at a nightclub till we sweat. Then go to my place, and make love in the shower. Girls say that I have a skill. I am a master of creating love. That penetrates a soul like a drill. I am not going to ask you things that you would do with free will. I would just hide for a while, chill. Keep a low profile. And mend heart of mine that you have chosen to grill. But the very thought of you give me a thrill. You are my ambition that I vow to fulfill. Yet, how can a girl comply with a cardiovascular system that provide true love and joy to a soul? And prey on my heart that creates affection, excitement, and pleasure but has no power. You have cast spell in my soul that grows like a wildflower. Darling, let me kiss your lips and make you forget everything that is sour. You are my medicine that I take when I am ill. I am addicted to you like cocaine and Advil. You are a remedy that I can't help but to spill. I would love to take you like a pill. You keep me going when dismay and confusion tell me to stand still, and try to distinguish me like a candle that burns in the wind outside at the Cathedral of Seville. Gorgeous, allow me to return the favor and do something about a blank space that I promised to fill. Let's get drunk on kisses that fever and passion distill. Make love and forget everything that is run of the mill. And rejoice on true love that doubt and time can't end, destroy, or kill. Nevertheless, you are a star. Each and every one of them talk about you at a bar. You are the first thing that comes to their heads when they play a guitar. Some keep you under the radar. Others want you to give them cookies from a jar. But they all wish they would watch you dance like a stripper till they forget who they are. And in my life, I have seen things that are attractive, striking, unique, and bizarre. But you are the most intoxicating them of all by far. You run my heart like an engine in a car, till you smile in tenderness, and leave my soul in the air with a beautiful scar. Nonetheless, I might sound like a Dalai Lama from Tibet. But I hate things that make you upset. Honestly, you can always say that you are drop-dead gorgeous. And your image is enough at a film set. You would never do things that you are going to regret. Let them know it's not worth it. They haven't seen what you are capable of doing as of yet. Walk away from bad situations, and fly away in a jet. However, you will always be a coquette. A girl that loves to get wet. Sometimes, I wonder if you are nothing but a butterfly that I chase with a net. A femme fatale who loves to smoke cigarette. Give her vagina a nickname as though it were a pet. And do nasty things on a hood of a Corvette. But let Cupid and Psyche sit in a pub and drink wine from a chalice and whiskey from a cup. It makes no difference as long as both get drunk of love and act like a kitten and a pup. Meanwhile, I can assume the world is a movie. Look at you in a medium shot and understand why love never gives up on romance. As if it had a sup. Yet, you can put on lipstick, powder your cheeks, and apply an eyeliner to the windows of your soul, as if they were the usual suspects that you love to round up. Or stand in front of a camera without a makeup. I notice you look breathtaking in close-up. But I swear I don't care if you play fair. Or wear my shirt without underwear. Or run naked at Times Square. Sometimes, I like it when you trim your pubic hair and ask me if I want to play truth or dare. And to my advantage, all you care about is romance that is rare. Get lost in flirtation, carnal knowledge, passion, and pleasure that you are aware. And love that feels like an affair. And you love to prey on my heart, which you know deep down in your soul it can't be found elsewhere. But you act coy as if love were in the air, and keep me on the edge of excitement, till I relinquish my heart and denounce its independent that I was supposed to declare. Still, you can always run to me with an empty video cassette. We would even cook spaghetti and bake salmon, and make sushi at my kitchenette. Have supper in the terrace. Eat what we cook with glasses of wines. Take a walk in the beach, and kiss in sunset. But all I know is, you are the most beautiful girl I have ever met. When I am sick, wish me well. When they hold you accountable for style that is vulgar but slick, I will let them know it is swell. You may wear lipstick. And act like you are going to meet me in a motel. I would write a chick flick and win a Nobel. Or you may put on Victoria's Secret lingerie. That makes anyone come quick. And defy anything that is labeled as a bombshell. We would skip picnic. And give in to emotions that are intended to compel. I would allow you to do things that make my heart tick. Let me do things that would ring your bell. Let's make love with various erotic positions that we pick. Do it till we are out of breaths, and raise hell. Or allow me to give you soft kisses. On the eyes, cheeks, nose, chin, and belly. As if I were doing your portrait on my soul. And preserving your beauty in my memory. Which I love to do in the right mindset. Caress your body, kiss your lips intimately. And make love to you all night till you sweat. And get my heart out of debt. They kissed French. Chapter 12. Japanese restaurant. Desiree and Francis sat at a table. She was enjoying sushi and a glass of cognacs. He had shrimp pasta with a glass of wine. Desiree was in the middle of breaking down her philosophy behind the teaching of Buddhism. The thing about Buddhism, it teaches you that disciplining your mind and controlling your cravings lead you toward happiness and peace of mind, and eventually to nirvana. In the meantime, one of the biggest misconceptions about Buddhism is that Buddhism itself is based on a man who spent his time alone trying to figure out human sufferings. But humans are social animals, designed to interact among each other. Once they exclude themselves away from the society and begin to hold their desires, they experience a lot of ideas that compromise the core concept of passion. I hear you, Francis said, as though he were the same page with her. But one thing that I never understood would be why guys have nipples but no breasts. Why is that? Francis asked. I don't know. But if I have to guess, originally both male and female were supposed to breastfeed. However, down the evolutional line, the males eventually forced to provide to their offspring and females counter apart through labor and physical work. Their breasts just got worn out over a period of time. That is an interesting theory. Francis gazed at her eyes. Desiree picked a sushi from her plate with her fingers, and tried to feed him. When he was about to eat, she took it back and ate it for herself playfully. Francis couldn't help but to smile lightheartedly, and got up from his seat. I'm going to pinch your nipples. Francis tried to scare Desiree jokingly, came behind her, and held her hands in a playful manner. She screamed blissfully. He kissed her on the cheek. Somehow, they ended up kissing French. Fashion show. Beautiful female supermodels walked on the catwalk one at a time under a brand name Desire designed by Desiree as camera light flashed from all angles. Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake played melodiously. Backstage. Beautiful models were dressing up everywhere. Desiree, wearing a light red miniskirt, was in charge of dressing up a gorgeous supermodel named Adriana Lima in an asymmetrical rose silk floor-length gown. A girl named Samantha Hill, who was wearing a shimmery purple outfit, assisted Desiree. Give me the veil, said Desiree. Samantha grabbed a translucent pink veil and handed Desiree the cloth. Desiree placed it around Adriana, takes a few steps back and looked at Adriana. What do you think? She asked Samantha. It's sexy. It looks sexier without it, Desiree said. Take it off. It's not that bad, Adriana said with a beautiful Brazil accent, as if her saliva melted the words in her mouth and seasoned them with sugar and honey before they left her lips. I like it. Adriana took off the veil and gave it to Desiree. Meanwhile, Francis appeared at the other end of the entrance. He was holding a red rose. Desiree saw him. She patted Adriana on the back and told her, you can go. Desiree puts the veil on the table and walked up to Francis. Hi, she said under her breath. They cuddled and kissed. Congratulations, he said softly. Francis gave her the rose. Thanks, she said lightly, as though it meant she appreciated the thought but he could set the flower on fire if he wished to. Her mind was occupied by fashion at the time being. Desiree and Francis walked toward Samantha, holding hands. She put the rose on the table, and grabbed a red gown from Samantha's hand. Should I come out wearing this? What do you think? Desiree asked Francis. It looks beautiful. You're just saying that. Let me try it anyway. Desiree gave Francis the gown to hold it, removed the cloth, and placed it on the table. She took the dress from his hand and began to put it on. France, she said softly. What is it, sweetheart? The other day I had a big headache and went to see Dr. Johnson. What did she say? EPS. What's that? Desiree put on her gown, came up to him, and told him what EPS stand for, early pregnancy syndrome. She gave him a soft kiss, turned around, and asked him to tie the outfit without a word. He tied it and kissed her on the shoulder. Do you feel any abdominal pain? He asked. Desiree turned around and threw her arms around his neck. You sound like a doctor. I am fine, she said confidently, and kissed him as he wraps his arms around her waist. Desiree and Francis kissed more intimately. France, she whispered. What is it? He said under his breath. You forgot my birthday. Francis slides his arms from her waist. I did not, he said whisperingly. Out of nowhere appeared a tiny gold and diamond ring on Francis's lips magically. Desiree couldn't believe how the ring appeared on his lips. Francis picked her up and placed her on the table. He took off her left shoe, pulled the ring from his lips, placed it on her middle toe, and kissed her foot softly. She looked at him speechless. Francis got up and came up to her lips. Happy birthday, he whispered down by her lips. They kissed French. She wrapped her arms around his neck as they continued to kiss. At the fashion show, they played You Rock My World by Michael Jackson. Desiree and Francis kissed more intimately. Fashion runaway. Models continued to walk on the catwalk, wearing Desire. Francis watched the models as they did poses. Then Desiree came out from the backstage, wearing a beautiful gold see-through gown, walked down the catwalk, and did a pose with style. Camera lights flashed at her from all angles. Later, Desiree walked up to Francis with a winsome smile. He got up to greet her. She cuddled and kissed him. I love you, she said under her breath. I love you, too. They kissed more intimately as camera lights flashed at them like white fireworks and clusters of stars. Francis and Desiree sat in the bathtub placed in the middle of the living room at their lake house. Francis was behind. She rested on his chest in beauty. One for My Baby Jazz by Wes Montgomery played on the stereo. What inspires you in life? She asked. Everything that's delicious, sexy, and beautiful. Like what? Your scrumptious lips. What about them? To bleed for. What about my personality? Personality is not that mandatory. How's that? Kiss is the greatest personality that a girl can obtain without having to say a word. Francis kissed her on the cheek. I mean French kiss, he corrected himself. Desiree turned around, and gave him her lips to kiss. They kissed French. Desiree then rested back on Francis's chest, closed her eyes, and slept in beauty. There was a silent moment. Seduce me, she said with close eyes. Francis recited a poem down by her neck. Someday, a bell will ring. The light will turn into green. A rebel becomes a king. A girl, wild at heart, will be crowned as a queen. But you would remain the reason. The birds sing in the morning. And my blood continues to store love in my heart. Instead of my spleen. I know you expect me to be humble. But I would love to dance with your tear. And get you in trouble. I would like to become your desire, lust, and itch. But take away your fear? I remember walking in the street of Paris. Looking at buildings that are tall. Billboards that have the images of beautiful girls. Which I thought each one of them looked like a Barbie doll. And things that they sell in a mall. A mademoiselle, who was wearing mini-skirt, strolled down. In the street of the Avenue des Champs-Élysées. She was sucking a lollipop. And all she cared about was whom she is going to hurt. And which heart she was going to steal. And sell it at a pawn shop. I sat in front of my laptop. And thought about writing a poem how I want to. Make love to you for 8 hours non-stop. So, darling, nothing is going to save you. When my heart explodes like a bubble. I would chase you around like a deer. You wouldn't move a muscle. It is clear. I am addicted to you. Like cocaine that the Colombians smuggle. Isn't the earth sphere? You aren't supposed to struggle. I would kiss your lips without a smear. And make love to you like a cat in the jungle. You are going to weep. I am in too deep. Let climax seep. You might even tell me secrets that you keep. Why do fools fall in love when thrill is so cheap? You might as well take fate that is intended for leap. I would come in your dreams when you sleep. And so what I reap. Later, I visited Barcelona. And saw paramours playing volleyball. Lovers strolling in the beach. Holding hands, cooing, kissing. And doing things that make their enemies feel small. And French kiss that make villains' skins crawl. Some hope they would get married. At the Cathedral of St. Paul. Others wish they were floating. Like the butterflies in fall. Yet, I wonder what would they have done. If they have felt my heart beating on my lips like a drum. How you hold me spellbound, the soul that you thrall. Would they have understood the sum? And how bad I want to please thee withal. It would have swept them off their feet. And left them in the air to sprawl. Whether I am busy or alone. It's you I want to call. And remind you not only you are the most beautiful girl in the world. But you are also the sexiest them of all. Francis kissed her on the shoulder. Desiree opened her eyes, turned around, and expressed her feeling in French, Jetma. Jetma. They kissed French. Later, Francis and Desiree made love. It was steamy, alluring, and passionate as usual. She was at the bottom. He was deep between her leg entering her lusciously. Chapter 13. David and Kate's mansion. A big motion picture fundraisers party was in progress. On the stage, a man named Ted sings Seal's Kiss from a Rose featuring Johnny Band. Desiree, wearing a beautiful red gown, and Francis, who was wearing a suit, walked through the crowd, holding each other arms. They looked like the sexiest couple in the world. A kiss is a lovely trick designed by nature to stop speech when words become superfluous, Desiree quoted one of her favorite movie stars. Who said that? He asked. Ingrid Bergman. Sure. But tell me, how does a girl like you get to be the girl like you? Francis gave his best imitation of Cary Grant. I don't know, I haven't made love with an empty stomach lately, Desiree responded, touching her belly. They stopped walking and stood lips to lips as if they were made out of each other's breath of life. You have the sexiest belly in the world, he said. That's too superfluous. They kissed French. An attractive woman named Kate, 32, who was conversing with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, both in their mid-40s, looked at Francis and Desiree. She excused Mr. and Mrs. Jones and walked toward Francis and Desiree. Francis and Desiree parted their lips and looked at Kate as she approached them in ease. Kate, who was an actress, came up to Francis. "What's up?" she greeted him. "What's up?" Kate and Francis kissed on the cheeks. "Hi," she said to Desiree. "Hi." Kate and Desiree kissed on the cheeks. Kate told to Desiree bluntly, "You look amazing." "Thanks. I didn't know you were going to show up looking like the Prince of Darkness," she teased Francis. "The Prince of Darkness has nothing on me," Francis played along. Out of nowhere, Francis took out a small box wrapped with gift paper, gave Kate the box, and expressed his wish with two popular words, "Happy birthday." Kate took the box. "What's it?" she asked without expecting any answer. Francis said nothing. Kate removed the gift paper and opened the box, revealing a gold necklace that has a shape of heart. "A necklace," she said aloud. "I thought you would like it," Francis said with guarantee. Kate took the necklace from the box and looked at it. "It's marvelous," she said, as if it were a token of love that he stole from Aphrodite. "Thanks." "You're welcome," he said with humor. Kate removed a diamond necklace from her neck that she was wearing, gave Francis the gold necklace that he gave her, and told him, "Here, put it yourself." She turned around and gave him her slender neck. Francis placed the necklace around Kate's neck and stood next to Desiree. Kate looked at it. "What do you think?" she asked Desiree. "It's beautiful." "I owe you one." Kate expressed her gratitude to Francis as though she were in debt, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and took his arm. "Come on," she wanted him to follow her. "Let me introduce you to my fiancé. He wants to make your novel Gorgeous Love into a movie." Francis held Desiree's hand. She was a part of him. They all began to walk down the living room. "Here, hold this necklace in your pocket," Kate said. "You will give me later." She gave him her diamond necklace as if it were made of rocks and a rope. David, 43, Kate's fiancé, who happened to be standing near the piano with a glass of whiskey, had words with an enthusiastic producer named Edward Patmore, 36, who was pitching idea for a movie. Edward told the story as if he were the one who invented motion picture, its gripping tale about an anthropologist, a young woman like Megan Fox who finds herself in the middle of the jungle, carrying offspring after her aircraft crashed. New tribe unknown to the open world rescued her. She begins to study their culture, till she encounters harmony, conflict, adventure, and culture shock. She finds her spirit at the defining point of her life to stand by her brave heart. David saw Kate, Francis, and Desiree walking toward him. He patted Edward on the shoulder. "Hold your thought," he said, as if there were more important thing on the hand, and walked toward them. Kate slowly pulled her arm from Francis's arm and walked to David. She gave her fiancé a kiss on his lips. David kissed her as well. "I want you to meet this poet," she said, "my best friend Francis, and his girlfriend Desiree." She told Francis and Desiree, "This is my fiancé David." Francis slightly pushed Desiree toward David to give him some kind notion that she always comes first. "Hi," David said and gave her his hand to shake. Desiree took it. "Hi," she replied in ease. David then shakes Francis's hand. "You must be the great romancer that she had been telling me ever since I put that ring on her finger." David expressed his suspicion as if there were history between Francis and his fiancée. "It's ironic. I used to have a thing for her." "You can't find a replica of this playboy," Kate said. "He knows how to make a garden out of a girl's heart and steals a rose from her soul." David looked at Desiree. "He is a thief," he agreed with Kate. "He stole your heart. But can he tell me how he tricked a comely girl like her to be by his side?" Francis looked at Desiree in the eyes. "She's one of few souls created out of sacred teardrops with a beautiful secret," he said naturally. "I can see it," David approved, looked at Desiree straight in the eyes, and quoted John Keats, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever." He then told Francis, "Come on, let's walk outside. I want to talk to you about turning your book Gorgeous Love into a motion picture." Meanwhile, Ted began to sing Nate Kong's Unforgettable. Francis looks at Desiree with seduction and said, "Let me have this dance with her if she doesn't mind." Desiree gave him a soft kiss on the lips and winked at him, "Let's dance." Francis nodded to David as if he were saying to excuse them. David put his arm around Kate's waist and nodded sure. Francis and Desiree came to the open floor and began to dance slow. Francis gazed at Desiree's eyes with tenderness as they danced quietly. "You will always be unforgettable," he gave her a thoughtful compliment. They kissed intimately. Later, David and Francis walked toward the bar with glasses of champagnes. Ted sang Frank Sinatra's "I've Got You Under My Skin" melodiously. David was telling Francis the basic format of storyline of film: boy meets a girl. They fall in love. Then something happens in the middle, or someone comes between them. They fall out of love. They stopped walking, and stood at the bar. In the end, love conquers all, they get back together and live happily ever after. This format has worked ever since the invention of motion picture, but I like your novel. It's unique, a beautiful flawless love story. It is a love letter to a soul. And it's my #1 priority, to bring the story into a big screen. On the other hand, Kate and Desiree, holding glasses of Martins, walked down by the window, conversing. "Did you design this?" Kate asked Desiree about her dress that she was wearing. "Yes, I did. It's remarkable." "Thanks. I used to be a model myself. I know it takes aptitude and extraordinary vision to be a fashion designer. To begin with, you have to know what you are doing. You just cannot get up in the middle of the night and become a designer overnight. You must have passion for trendy and clothing." "It is true," Desiree said under her breath. She had no clue what Kate was talking about. Meanwhile, Kate looked at someone that she knew dearly. She took Desiree's arm. "Come on," she said clandestinely as though she was going to show her a forbidden orchid. "Let me introduce you to a handsome man. He might be the next Clark Gabriel." The man was wearing a blue suit. Desiree couldn't see his face yet. He conversed with two attractive young women named Ava, 22, and Jessica, 23, who are holding champagnes. "It's a beautiful script," Ava said. "It has a lot of sex," Jessica disagreed slightly, so she could sound modest. There were movies husband and wife used to sleep on two separate king and queen size beds and said everything in their hearts without sex. "I like it," Ava stated her opinion. "I thought it was going to be quixotic at the beginning but turned out to be quite romantic." Kate and Desiree came up to the stranger. The man turns and looked at Desiree as though he saw the love of his life. Desiree's eyes get wider. It was Mark. "Hi," Kate greeted the girls. They all kissed on the cheeks. "I want you to meet this heartbreaker, Desiree." Ava and Jessica told Desiree their names as they greeted. She told them her name as well. "This is Mark," Kate said referring to the man whom Desiree had history with. "What's up?" "Nothing much," Desiree answered as if she didn't care. Mark and Desiree kissed on the cheeks. It was a little bit awkward. "I thought I would never see you in red again," he said. "I would have worn Victoria's Secret's lingerie if I knew I was going to run into you here." Mark couldn't help but to smile lightheartedly. "Do you know each other?" Kate asked. "Intimately," Mark answers first. "We used to go out together till he asked me to be his best woman." Desiree added. "Well," Kate said as if she got herself into a mess. "It is a small world." All of a sudden, they all got silent. The girls then excused Mark. "I think we had better go," Ava said. "Excuse us," Jessica asked for a pardon. Ava and Jessica kissed Mark on the cheek. Mark kissed them on the cheeks as well. Ava and Jessica said bye and walked away. Mark and Desiree looked at each other silently. Kate wanted to leave them alone as well. "Let me leave you alone," Kate said. She kissed Desiree on the cheek first. She then kissed Mark on the cheek, told Desiree she would see her around, said bye to Mark, and walked away in background, leaving Desiree and Mark to sort things out. Mark and Desiree stared at each other's eyes without a word. "You look beautiful," he gave her a compliment after a moment of silence. "Thanks," she said, as if she didn't care at all. They gazed at each other's eyes more. In the meantime, Ted began to sing Heatwaves Always and Forever. "Do you mind?" Mark gave her his hand. For old time's sake, he asked her to dance. Desiree took his hand. They walked to the open floor and began to dance as if they didn't know each other. At least, Desiree didn't care even though he was trying to get her attention somehow. But she chose not to do anything that was going to inspire memories of back in the days, whether good or bad, or say things that might give him a wrong idea. They waltzed silently and awkwardly as if they got kicked out of a ballroom and forced to dance in the middle of the street that were occupied with heavy traffic, and she didn't care whether she got hit by a car or everybody got out of their cars and danced with her like La La Land, but in contrast, he thought he could protect her. On the other hand, David and Francis, who happened to be standing at the bar, continued to talk about motion picture. As a matter of fact, David was the one who did most of the talking. Francis listened to what David had to say with some interest. "You can categorize all movies through action, comedy, romance, drama, and mystery, and see what they're truly made of," David said, as if he knew what he was talking about. "But I want to bring the golden age of Hollywood aura, glamour, suspense, and new seductive characters, fetch feminine souls out of mystic, and put them on the foreground." Francis might have lost him at the last seconds. He was looking at Desiree as she continued to dance with Mark. Mark thought he had her in the palm of his hand even though she was too scorching to hold on, and he might as well drop her like she was hot. He felt she was toying with his emotions. But Desiree seemed uninterested, as if someone put a gun to her head. Mark looked at her eyes. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I came with Francis. They asked him to turn one of his nobles into a motion picture." "That's great. I am happy for him." "Are you happy?" Mark asked after a pause. "Yes, I am." "Why did you ask? You seem alluringly sad." "I am not sad." Meanwhile, David asked Francis a question. "Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Romeo?" "There is nothing to tell you. But my life depends on showing the beauty of romance, finding spell at every corner of the universe, and expressing love to the full extent of imagination by any means necessary." Franz took a glance at Desiree, who continued to dance with Mark. "And perhaps, give a seductive pulse and beautiful twist to passion and get folks in the mood for love." "That's brilliant." "Excuse me. I have to use the restroom. I had a lot of wines." Francis put his drink on a table and began to walk toward the restroom. Mark and Desiree continued to dance like two strangers caught up in strong wind that blew relentlessly. "I don't know what it is," Mark said, as though he was going to say something wise. "It could be my heart playing tricks on me, but you look more beautiful than ever." Desiree chose to remain quiet as though silent were worth more than gold. Nonetheless, she couldn't remain silent forever. "Where's Loretta?" she asked. "She's here. We broke up." "What do you mean you broke up?" "I told her I'm still in love with you." Desiree didn't say anything. Corridor. Francis walked down the corridor and then saw Loretta, who was sitting on the steps at the hallway with a glass of whiskey. "What's up?" she greeted him. Hi. Enjoying the party, she asked. It is okay. All of a sudden, they both got shy and chose to hold their peace for a while. Loretta looked at his eyes. Is there anything you want to say to me, she asked seductively, like sexual and maleficent. I'll think something innocent for your wedding, Francis said with humor. Forget it. There is no wedding. What happened? We broke up. He told me he still loves Desiree. And I told him I had a crush on you. I couldn't stop thinking about you. It is beyond my control. Francis said nothing. Mark and Desiree had finished dancing. They stood at bar 2 with glasses of Martins. Mark expressed his true feeling, I have lived my life to tell myself that I'm a hero. I know I am not a poet, but I can make that rhyme with zero. However, whenever I take a step, I trip over feelings that I have for you and fall in my heart, and it's you that I keep finding at the bottom of my soul. I want you back in my life. I'm happy with Francis, Desiree said frankly. We're expecting baby. Mark chose to keep his tongue on his pocket for now and gave her his hand. She took it. He kissed her cheek. Congratulations, he expressed commendation. You deserve the best. Francis had sat next to Loretta on the step. They weren't talking. They were quiet for some reason. However, nobody could keep Loretta silent for long. You don't choose whom you love, Loretta said, as if it were a fact that she couldn't dispute. Your heart always gets in your way. Erykah Badu said, I guess I will see you next lifetime. That pretty much sums up our existence in this world, even though I like the quote, never say never. Francis smiled charismatically but thought it might be wise to remain silent. Loretta looked at him and smiled in tenderness. Later, Francis walked through the crowd, looking for Desiree but ran into Mark by accident. Mark shook Francis' hand and told him congratulations. Francis said, thanks, and walked towards exit as Mark walked the opposite direction. The sky was clear. The moon was bright. Stars were sparkling. Desiree sat on the step at front alone lost in thought. Out of nowhere came Francis and covered her eyes, but let her go right away. She looked at him and beamed with an alluring smile. He told her something humorous and sat behind her. Desiree said something sweet. He told her something romantic. She smiled in beauty. They kissed intimately. Chapter 14. Desiree sat on the steps between Francis's legs who was planting soft kisses on her neck. They were back at their lake house. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word love, she asked. Beautiful. Francis kissed her on the cheek. There was a silent moment. They looked at the stars in the sky. I want you to seduce me, Desiree tested him temptingly after a moment of silence. Let love give the stars in the sky permission to shine. Love is divine. Love doesn't fade away or decline. Love is beautiful. Love sets no deadline. But no love dares quit while it's ahead. Let alone take the oath. Or consent bad luck to go through the grapevine. It won't back down either as if it were a bloodshed. I wish you would kiss me till I find myself in cloud 9. And if I faint, give me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And restore heartbeats that I spread across the fabric of the cosmos, till I lost the thread. But dreamboat, I want you to remember that you are mine. Rekindle feelings that I might have killed. When the stars told me I crossed the line. And breathe new life to tenderness that I butchered. Thinking about you day and night till I saw a sign. And mend my heart that L allowed you to shred. But allow me to kiss your lips. And promise you everything will be fine. Francis kisses her on the cheek. She turned around and gave him her lips. They kissed French. Few minutes later, Francis and Desiree made out in the kitchen. They kissed intimately. They were doing it near the sink. The Most Beautiful Girl in the World by Prince played soulfully from CD. Francis picked her up, placed her on the kitchen table, kissed her lips, and removed her underwear. She unbuttoned his shirt. They kissed more passionately. Francis grabbed her buttocks, lifted her up, and entered her as they began to make love. Bedroom. Francis and Desiree continued to make love with the most beautiful girl in the world at the bedroom. It's sensual, seductive, steamy, and passionate. After sex, Desiree was flat out sleeping on top of Francis' chest. She was nude, barely covered with a blanket. Sometime later, a beautiful girl Isabella about 10 weeks slept between Francis and Desiree. She was their daughter, the most beautiful thing in the world and the fairest them of all. Francis opened his eyes and looked at Isabella. The little princess was asleep like Sleeping Beauty. Francis looked at Desiree. The princess was sleeping in beauty as well. Desiree then slowly opened her eyes, looked at him, and gave him a beautiful smile. He returned her smile charismatically. Desiree looked at Isabella, kissed her on the lips, and went back to sleep. Francis looked at them for a few more seconds and closed his eyes. Later, Desiree and Francis kissed, lying in a beach. Francis was sort of on top. Desiree was at the bottom, lying on the back. Francis parted his lips, and gazed at Desiree's eyes with affection. She looked at him with tenderness. Why do I feel like I can't live without you? Desiree asked before he said anything. Maybe, it's because I can't breathe without you either. Except in my case, it is not a feeling. It is a beautiful fact of life. Francis gave her a soft kiss on the lips. I love you, she whispered like wind in spring. I love you too, he said softly down by her lips and gave her a faint kiss on the lips. She threw her arms around his neck. They kissed more intimately as if they were the greatest lovers in the universe. The end.